Welcome back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler here with Johnny. Johnny, what's going on?
Oh, Tyler, I'm just looking up prices on stuff from 1970 that I hate.
Why do you hate stuff from 1970? Like the most
Because
interesting time in video game history?
It's so old. It's so old. No, I'm just kidding. I don't like looking for some of this stuff because it doesn't have like good price data. You would be surprised that all this older stuff has worse price data.
I mean, that's what makes it so good. At some point, so when you're collecting stuff, if there's so little of it to go around that people don't even know what it's worth, one, that means that it's probably not going to be so expensive because like there's so little interest in it just because people can't find it. But like two, for something to be like this hyped collectible, there has to at least be enough to go around for like the hype lords to all get theirs before they can hype it. So if there's like a game that comes up once every 5 or 10 years, or not a game, like anything, like it's never going to be the hyped thing because there won't be enough people to hype it. And I love that. That's how you can get like such interesting stuff for a low-ish price because there's only going to be so many people looking for that kind of stuff. And then we're talking about video games from the 70s. Like that is video games from the 70s in a nutshell. A lot of them anyway.
So it's almost like things that weren't meant to be collectible are the things that actually become collectible.
Well, I mean, that's a different concept, I think. Yes, I think organically collectible things are a lot more interesting, but when it comes to generating hype and demand for something, I think there's a lot more demand for things that aren't the most rare and obscure things. Like, it has to have a little bit of availability for people to really get excited over it.
I believe that's true. We should create a theory for that.
Oh my God.
We have to make a name for that. We have to like make a list of names for things because this is a thing we talk about quite a bit actually, that there has to be enough for people to show it off, to generate that buzz, and then get other people interested.
Like, like having 1,000 copies of something like that Elephant Mario card. Like, wow, talk about a great collectible that is, Johnny.
Ooh, super cool. Hey, it's kind of hard to get, but hey, it's still only $700. I think we can put this under our last economic theory that we generated. I think this can be part of the theory of mass appeal as a subpoint.
Oh, the theory of mass appeal? Is that what we're calling it now?
I was banding about some names. I have to go over it a little bit, but so I think that works. What else is going on? Tyler, I'm going to bore you with some super awesome information about my day today. I decided I was going to clean my garage, and part of it, I have one wall that's not finished. And I was like, you know what? I have to take everything out of my garage to get that finished. And I think maybe like it would be a good idea to clean my garage and get rid of some stuff anyways and, organize. So I rented a pod. You know what a pod is, I'm assuming?
You rented a pod just to clean your garage?
Well, because I needed to put all this stuff somewhere, and it's not a one-day project, Tyler.
How much does a pod rental cost? This seems like you should have just like thrown all the stuff you don't need out. That seems like you should have rented a dumpster.
Maybe. But then a dumpster would have cost the same as the pod.
You rented a pod just to clean your garage? What kind of bougie shit is going on in California?
Well, that's where the Xbox set lives, and I can't just throw that out.
I mean, that's where my Xbox set lives, in my garage too.
Right. Tyler, just imagine you had to clean your garage.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how would you do it?
I would get a lot of trash bags and just throw stuff out. Because there's so much stuff like that I will just never use in my life again. And you know what? It's not worth selling it. I mean, I'll probably donate a bunch of it to Goodwill. But I read somewhere, it was probably like some Marie Kondo article thing. The average like household in America has like 300,000 individual items. And like you think of like how many like actual things you own, and it's just like it's not worth your time to like sell or sort some stuff. We could just like go through and probably just throw out 50,000 things in our house.
Oh, easy, Tyler.
Yeah,
I could
just throw them out. What
literally.
You're not gonna need. I don't know, that half-used can of green spray paint from 1997. You know what? Just get rid of that entire paint shelf because you're never gonna use any of that. Because the next time you need paint, you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna do the same thing you did every other time you needed paint for all these projects. You're gonna buy a new can of paint because you don't want to use the one from 1997.
Here's the problem. Here's where you're a little off base with the paint. One, you can't just throw away paint. Okay, that's the hazard. You can't just put it in the trash can, you maniac.
Well, I mean, you got to do whatever you do to recycle spray paint. I've got so much spray paint, I got to figure out how to get rid of it. Because you know what, Johnny? I don't need it. If I need spray paint, I'm just going to buy a new one because I don't trust my 20-year-old spray paint.
There's like, in California, we have specific days and places you can go to drop off stuff like that. But I do have a box of paints, but it's not spray paint like you're thinking. These are different paint cans with house color paints in them. So they have the code and stuff and a sample of the paint. And I was like, this is dumb. My wife's like, no, you keep those so you can take it and get a sample if you can't get a sample off your wall. And I was like, isn't there just like a color number on this somewhere that I could just take a picture of and then be like, make me this color? And I didn't see that exact number. So I have to go through all the paint and see if those numbers exist so I can actually get rid of all that stuff. But anyways, Tyler, back to what I was saying. I got a pod and I like put all these shelves because I have so many shelves in my garage. It's a lot, Tyler, and there's still stuff in my garage. And I was just like, oh man, a lot of this needs to go away. That's what I discovered today.
Good. That's a good, you need to just get rid of all that junk, Johnny. Man, we have too much junk. As someone who buys junk for a living, it's not a living, but it feels like it. Man, I have too much junk.
So your estimate of 300,000 individual things, Marie Kondo, she's never met someone who collects magic cards. Because if you have bulk magic cards,
oh my God, like, right? You think about that stuff? Like, yeah, that's average. Like, we are pulling up the average. Like, we probably have like a million things in our house when you consider like individual cards and stuff like that.
Dude, I have a shelf full of bulk magic cards.
And like, you look at a video game, like that's not one item. If you take that apart, there's like a cartridge, there's a manual, there's a registration card, there's the dust cover, there's the plastic bag. Like every box is like a box of 12 items.
Yeah, well, I wonder how that's counted. Do you think she's counting each one of those things as one item, or the box?
I don't think it was Marie Kondo. I think
item?
This was an actual study somewhere, but yeah, I don't know how the heck they count that stuff.
Yeah, because that would be interesting to know. Because if they count it like that, then holy fuck. Well, like what about there's just like everybody who's ever collected any card game ever. Yeah, you're fucking shit up.
I mean, sure, like there's that, but like just think of how many pens and Sharpies you have, and like I got my wife is into stationery stuff, but we have hundreds of just pens and Sharpies and markers and things. That's just like one category of useless thing that we have.
My wife loves Sharpies. She's always like, can I get this box of 100 Sharpies? I'm like, no. What do we... Well, you have like 150 or 200 already. What are we doing with these Sharpies?
Well, you always want one nearby when you need it.
No, like she just gets all these weird color. Like, I don't know. She just likes these Sharpies. She does like draw and color with them, but still. It's weird to me.
Anyways. So do you still have this thing in front of your house? Are you finished with your garage?
Yeah. No, God, no. I also need to do the construction in the garage. So it's like, I wanted to move all this stuff. Then I rented the pod for a month. So I have a month to get this done.
Whew, this is a serious organization project.
Well, that's the other thing is because when we first moved in, we both were sick. Like we got sick, like really sick, 105 fevers. I was hallucinating and everything. So stuff came in and they like just went in the garage and then it kind of got pushed into a corner and then more stuff would come in and then shit just accumulates and there's no like real organization. It's just like you kind of organize one little area and this kind of gets organized. There's not real organization. Shit just kind of goes where it fits. And I hate that. So I basically wanted to get everything out of the garage so I could start from ground zero and put it all in there. And, I've already been taking steps towards this with all my dumb boxes that I buy, my single layer boxes. So everything, like there's no, like trying to get rid of all the cardboard in there, all these single layer boxes, everything's in a box. I can label the box and then, have an inventory of what's in the box. And then if I ever need anything, I'd be like, all right, it's in box 52. This is the goal.
Johnny, I just want to throw everything out. Because sometimes I'll go through like an entire weekend and be like, I spent this whole weekend and all I did was like use my iPad and some food and I don't know, like some AirPods. Like I use like basically nothing in my house. Like I have all this shit and like I don't need any. Like I've got like a bin full of like rope and duct tape in my garage. Like what the fuck do I need rope for? When am I ever gonna use rope in my life? I don't have any rope adventures coming up. So I just want to.
I don't know.
Just
like I use my tools and stuff all the time. Unfortunately, you're never fixing stuff at your house.
What do I need to fix? I mean, I'm fixing stuff with like some basic tools. I mean, yeah, I need my tools, need my sockets, but I'm not throwing away everything, Johnny. But I do have a lot of shit that I don't need.
I think we should do an After Dark where we talk about the most useful things we own.
Ooh. All right. Maybe we'll do that today at 6 a.m., considering we're starting this episode at 2:30, and it seems like it's going to be a very long episode.
Oh, my God. We've got so much stuff. And then you kept writing. I was just like, what is happening? I really think we could have done an episode on like a couple of these categories could have been their own episode.
I wanted to do an overview of just the top stuff, and then you went into action figures, which is not the top stuff.
No, but I just like to throw, like, you and I have a different process. I like to throw everything out there and then eliminate things as I go along. And then you're like, once it's on the thing, then we got to talk about it. I'm like, no, I've just put it there. So it's in my brain. Like, then I can delete it and then decide the things we want to talk about. Then you're like, fine, I guess we're talking about everything. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, that's why our shows are 3 hours long, Johnny.
Yep. All right. Anyways, since we have a long show, I think, ahead of us, I'm going to gloss over my stuff. We'll see how much detail you go into. Maybe we should begin. No, I'm sorry. That's not fair. Tyler, what did you do this weekend? What are you up to?
I got my bike fixed because my bike's been a little bit messed up. I've screwed with my bike for a couple hours, taking apart my brakes and trying to fix them, and ended up messing it up more.
Hold on.
What's up?
You got to update the people because you were going through a long decision process about what kind of bike to get. You finally bought one. What is this?
I've got a Trek FX3, Johnny, and it is perfectly fine. I don't know anything about bikes. That is not like.
Is it a road bike?
We're not talking about bikes
bike?
here, but Johnny, everyone who buys a bike buys like a hardcore road bike that is built for like aerodynamics and speed, and they're so uncomfortable. And I'm not like going down roads at 30 miles an hour. I'm just like biking on local trails, so I don't need this like really uncomfortable, serious hardcore bike. So don't go on my recommendation of what to buy.
Here's what I've discovered after riding bikes as an adult. Bike seats were designed by the devil and made to punish anyone who deigns to ride a bike.
See, that's not true. Okay, we're going to talk about bikes, Johnny. Johnny, I didn't get like the most ridiculous fat guy plush seat, but for my exercise bike, earlier, like last year, I got like a fat guy seat, not a crazy one, just like a little bit thicker, just so like it's a little bit more comfortable, right? And it immediately just like fucks up your thighs because the backs of your thighs start hitting the chair when the chair is wider. So once you get on a bike with a fat guy seat, you'll be like, oh, now I understand why bike seats are like this. It's because of anatomy. It doesn't help your balls knowing the reason that they're like that. But there is a reason that bike seats suck. They are worse if you make them bigger.
Yeah, I'm not saying you need to make them bigger, but I'm just saying, like, the unkindest plastic that these things are made of. Like, there has to be some medium in between this, Tyler. You can't tell me all the science that we have that we can't do better than this. I don't understand. Like, I've sat in a plastic chair in school for hours on end, and well, these aren't comfortable, but whatever. Like, I sit on bullshit metal stools at work because, I don't know, that's our ethos or whatever. And they fucking suck, but none of this compares to your average bike seat.
All right. I don't know. I think bike seats are fine, Johnny. I think there's probably a lot of technology that's went into them since like the penny farthing era.
I agree that there's a lot of, I'm just saying, like, this is not, bike seats aren't it, man. You and I disagree. I mean, I'm probably heavier than you. Probably I am heavier than you. So yeah, I don't know. Fucking bike seats, they aren't it, Chief.
Anyway, Johnny, the nice man at the bike store fixed my problem in about 2 minutes and didn't charge me. And moral of the story, just take your problems to experts. Don't try to do anything yourself. What are you doing? You got your AC problem? Just call an AC guy.
Yeah. That's definitely not something I ever do. I always like look it up myself because, I don't know, I'm fucking stupid. And then I'm like, I should have just called someone. Anyways.
I like making my problems worse beforehand.
Yeah, lessons not learned. All right, Tyler. We kind of hinted, alluded to, mentioned briefly what the episode is about, but I guess we should tell the people what we're doing exactly.
Johnny, this episode is brought to you by Tiger Wolf, who, I don't know, maybe 3 hours ago recommended it randomly in the Suggest an Episode Discord, and I immediately picked up on it and was like, yeah, I like talking about collectibles. He wanted, let's see what his actual recommendation was compared to what we're doing. The best video game related coins, stamps, or comics to own. What are some interesting crossovers?
We could have done that episode so quick.
Well, you expanded it more than I was going to, but basically I wanted to talk about what the best video game collectibles are in other collecting categories, or at least maybe not the best, maybe not the most expensive, but maybe iconic ones that come to mind when we think of other collecting categories, because I don't know what the best video game collecting plushie is, Johnny.
Well, Tyler, it's hard to narrow down, but we'll get into it later. Unless you want to lead with plushies.
No, that's our episode. We're gonna go over each category. Also, Skinny Grinny on Video Game Stage wanted a shout out because we always shout out other people. I'm sorry we've never shouted you out, Skinny Grinny.
Yeah, if you feel like you've been left out, you just let us know. We'll say your name.
All right. Johnny, let's start with comic books. Now,
a big collectible.
I don't know. I think there's the obvious ones would be like the first Mario, the first Zelda, and then the first quote unquote video game comic. So that would be Valiant Comics Super Mario Bros. 1, Valiant Comics Legend of Zelda 1, and then Blip Magazine 1, which is a Marvel video game magazine from 1983, which is the technical first comic appearance of Mario and Donkey Kong. And to keep it on that Blip, it is just the worst looking thing ever. It's got like this dorky looking kid who looks like he didn't expect a picture to be taken of him. Is this TV star Matthew Labortreau? I don't know. It might be some TV child star. But he's playing a Tron machine, and it looks like he didn't expect someone to take a picture of him. But it is apparently the first appearance of Mario and Donkey Kong. And I've seen this come up. This has even come up on Heritage Auctions a couple times. It's like $100 to $200 for any decent copy. So here's the thing with all of these comics. They're like $100, $200 for like a decent copy now. And these used to be worth like $9, I'm sure. And then you get to the 9.8, and as is comic tradition, 9.8s sell for like $2,000. Because anything less than a 9.8 in comics is just garbage. I wish video games were like this so I could get like all like the decent good video games for good prices, but video games seem to have a much more gradient spectrum of prices when it comes to this. But when it comes to comics, anything in the past 40 years, you have a 9.8 or you might as well throw it out. And man, as someone who would love to collect some 9.6 and 9.4 comics, I wish it was like that in video games.
I do too. I'm going to just add a little bit to this. So Valiant had a whole series of comics. It wasn't just Mario and Zelda. They had the Nintendo comic book system series. They had a Game Boy series. There's a lot. They had a Captain N series. So Valiant was really like, if you were wanting to go deep on this, Valiant, and Valiant isn't like a well-regarded publisher, especially in the 1990s. This was a bullshit publisher. But yeah, you could go hard on Nintendo comics. This is just a brief thing we're touching on, but there's a lot of comics made by Valiant that you could go look at.
Yeah, and like these are 90s overproduced collected #1 comics. Like these are not rare in the slightest. Like these were complete garbage before, like, I don't know, maybe 2020, 2021 when people started being like, whoa, everything video games is going to the moon. Let's pick up all the video games.
Yeah. You could, some of the covers are cool. There's a few cool covers. The Zelda ones are basically like straight up Zelda animated series Zelda ones.
Yeah, and I said $100 to $200 for these, but like raw, as if people really are grading every single copy of these Valiant comics, like $20, $30. Like, I don't know. I think, sure, pick up like a Super Mario Brothers one, even if you don't care about the comic, for like $30. It's Super Mario Brothers, like whatever. I would buy that. I don't think I have one. Maybe I should get one. I think I have a Zelda one just because I have it. But yeah, like the Nintendo comic system, you can get those for like $30. I'm sure if it was a graded 9.8, someone's gonna want like $1,500 for it. But
here's a good one: Nintendo Comic System number 9, introducing Dr. Mario. Got a nice pink cover. Got Dr. Mario on it. It's a good one. I like that one.
I don't like it.
Why? What's not to like?
I only want number 1s, Johnny. If it's not the first, what's the...
Because you're not buying these, like, we're talking about if you're buying these. Like, what are you even doing?
If you're... What? If you're buying these, what are you even doing? Like, I'm not going to buy a random number 9. Like, I might buy, like, from 1 through 9. I would never buy a random issue in, like, a run of video game comics like that. I would want all of them, especially if they're cheap, like these Valiant comics are.
Yeah, I like the comic system one, and plus it just follows into the branding of Nintendo. I'm a sucker for themes.
All right, anyways, Johnny, go get them. You like comics. Why don't you own these?
Because I cannot. I can't make myself care about these. And if I did, I would want like the cool covers, and I would want them graded. Because I really like graded comics. They don't need to be 9.8s. I just like them in their little holders because I'm not going to flip through them. Put them in a nice thing. Let me keep them nice.
Well, Johnny.
Anyways,
I've got one more comic for you that I didn't put on the list because
it's your favorite thing to do now.
It's a secret. No, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, I think is of a slightly higher stature than these Valiant comics. Maybe not in like the highest grades, but I think like normal issues of Sonic 1 might be better than these $20 Valiant books. But the first comic appearance of Sonic, and I'm only bringing this up, I don't think Sonic has anything, it can't touch the Nintendo comics in terms of people caring about Mario and Zelda more than Sonic, but Sonic as a comic character matters so much more than Mario and Zelda because Sonic is actually a popular comic series. But the first Sonic appearance is not the real Sonic the Hedgehog 1. It's actually a 16-page promotional comic that was meant to promote Sonic on Sega Genesis. It's actually a mini comic. Oh, you like mini comics, right?
I do. Love them. Nope.
So when you get a graded one, because CGC doesn't make the right size holder, you get like the full-size comic book, and then the comic's taking up like a quarter of the space. It looks so stupid. But the graded copies of this are like $1,000 for the 9.8, which is it's lower than the Nintendo ones, but I don't know. I kind of like it.
Well, Tyler, in the spirit of what you've just done, I have one for you that I didn't put on the list.
All right, more video game comics. Let's go.
Yeah.
What else we got?
So this is from Marvel Comics in 1996. Resident Evil. Because everything associated to Resident Evil, if it got some ancillary bullshit, which it must have, because it's Resident Evil, it's very popular, it's spread through much media, but like a raw Resident Evil, number 1, will fetch up to like $150, $200. Some copies like down near like 125 or 100, but some of them peak up higher than that. And there's more of those. And they're around. But the first one specifically has a coupon in it. So if you're buying it, make sure you get the one with the coupon still attached for Resident Evil. So there you go. There was also an official comic book magazine for Resident Evil. This isn't that. This isn't a Marvel comic. So go look for that. There's like a Code Veronica one too, but this is just Resident Evil. It's got the cover on it. You'll know it when you see it. I promise.
I mean, I guess I don't associate Nintendo with comics at all, but man, I just don't associate Resident Evil with comics at all either. So
I don't either. But, if you're just thinking about large properties that have made their way through media, Resident Evil is just one of the biggest series. So, I mean, and Resident Evil has lots of comics over different stuff. Like there's like a new one. There's like Resident Evil Infinite Darkness or something. And like, if you know who Peach Momoko is?
Nope, sure don't.
She's like a famous comic coverist right now. I think she does other illustrations, but like her covers usually get noticed. They like call out when she's doing them, but she's done like a variant. So in these world of all these weird variants now, Those are available. Also, there's obviously manga for Resident Evil. So you look for those as well if that's your jam. But if you are into Resident Evil, there's a whole avenue you could go down. Anyways, I thought you would find the number one interesting because it's Marvel, and also it had a coupon for the game.
Any good DC video game comics we can go over, Johnny?
Yeah, do you want? Yeah, we could go over. What's it called? Oh God, lost the name of it. The fighting game series with all the DC characters.
Injustice. But that's not. Who's collecting the Injustice comics? Like,
yeah, Injustice. That's too modern, right? That was. I mean, we could look, but I'm sure there's
any comic from the past 50 years is too modern to collect, including these Sonic and Mario ones that are only getting hyped up from their $9 original prices recently.
Okay. I mean, if you say so.
I don't know. I'm looking up Injustice 1.
It's probably not much.
2013. It's not much. There's only one completed listing. Maybe it's because people aren't grading them. I don't know. It was $60 for a 9.6, but 9.6 is garbage, as we all know.
Yep. So it's double that price, and that's what a 9.8 costs.
Oh, there's a 1 in 25 variant. Only 9 and 9.8 pop for $1,400. You should get that.
Here's the thing about comics. One, don't collect comics. Two, if you want, just go buy the omnibuses, and like if you want to read it, or just buy it digitally, even better. But modern comic collecting is hot trash with all of the variants. People complain about the 90s variant era. We're in the most ridiculous timeline for comic book variants that's ever been around. And also shorter runs because comics aren't as popular. Yeah, just... Anyways. Avoid.
Someone argue with me, but like... comics are just like meant to be collected more than just like you pick them up and read them. It's like, oh, I need the fucking I need the 1 in 25 variant, and then you need the Injustice, the rare second print version. That's the virgin cover, Johnny. Get a sketch on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just not for us, Tyler. That's just not our zone. Anyways,
it's what I think video games might turn into eventually when we get into like the post media era. Maybe not. I don't know. I hope it doesn't get this weird and crazy. I mean, Limited Run does a little bit of this shit with their like fancy color cartridges. Like, oh, you got to get the pink Earthworm Jim cartridge.
They're trying hard.
But I mean, with comics, it's like literally every issue kind of deal.
Every single, doesn't matter if it's like, remember it used to be if it was just like a big issue or something that was happening. Now it's just every issue.
Johnny.
Anyways.
I've got some Sonic lore that I didn't realize because I didn't look hard enough.
Okay.
This Sonic
Chili
1
Dogs
mini
away.
comic. There's two versions of it. One is like an actual comic book, like glossy cover. And then there's a newsprint version, which looks much lower quality, but also seems much more common. You can get a 9.8 of the newsprint version for like $100. Is that cool? I don't know.
No.
I think it's cool.
You want to know the coolest mini comic?
All right. What's the coolest mini comic?
Well, it's probably... oh man. What is it? The one that is, it's the series. There's 3 of the games. It's like it's not Waterworld. It comes with the mini comic. Remember that game? It was like a promo. God.
The fuck are you talking about? The thing that's not Waterworld? What?
I know. My brain failed. I'm tired as well. What is this game called? There are Atari games. There was a competition.
The Sword Quest Waterworld, like Sword Quest Earthworld, like those? Yeah, where the game, like the comic is part of the game?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that one. Or even better, something far more obtainable. Just get that mini comic that comes with Masters of the Universe, the He-Man game. For Atari. That one. That one's fun.
Okay, Boomer. All right.
Yeah.
No one outside your generation cares about He-Man. Sorry to tell you. Kids don't even know what Masters of the Universe is. I barely know what Masters of the Universe is.
Yeah, I love how you throw around the boomer shit. Well, one, I'm not a boomer, and two, you are also fucking old. You aren't cool, young, or
Saying
hip.
you're not a boomer because you're Gen X is like the most boomer thing you could say. Like, oh,
No,
I'm not a boomer. I'm the generation after boomers.
That's such a millennial thing to say. That's it has to be a millennial who's just like boomer this and boomer that because this is your fucking horoscope. You are basically an astrology girl. That's right. You're like, oh, you're this generation or this generation? Yeah, why don't you tell me what your sign is too, you fucking twat? I don't want to hear this. Who gives a shit? Go on.
I kind of want to buy this 9.8 Sonic the Hedgehog 1 newsprint.
Oh my God. Also, buy Last of Us comics. Those are expensive.
No, Last of Us is a little bit overrated. It's a little bit overrated, Johnny.
I think can be overrated and still great.
The game, the whole point of The Last of Us, I'm not going to argue about Last of Us comics because I haven't read them, but like the whole thing is that they made like the zombie thing into like a nice narrative video game. So why am I going to take that out and just read it in comic book form?
Well, this was originally, I think, before they released the DLC, that the first one, because that's basically the DLC is the first 4 issues.
So they based the DLC was based on the comics?
I think they did the comics to go with the DLC. I did not read them officially because I'm not going to open my comics. That sounds crazy.
Don't open your comic. Let's not be crazy. They're not going to get a 9.8 then.
Yeah. They're definitely not getting a 9.8. But the first comic was included in like the survival edition, right?
I have no idea.
I think it was.
Smart marketing. You include the first comic in a 4-part series? Like, I mean, all right, I guess. It's forcing you to spend another $12. Johnny, let's move on to another category. I don't know why plush is the second category we have. Popular collecting categories, plushies.
I literally just wrote things as they were occurring to me, and I did not put these in an order. Let's talk about coins instead because that follows comics more logically.
Are you just trying to get me excited?
Yeah. I mean, I did call you a twat, which I feel bad about.
Johnny, I love coins. Everybody loves coins. Who doesn't like holding and flipping around a little piece of metal? I feel like I'm ChatGPT talking about like, say something about coins. That's interesting. Johnny, we've brought this up on the show before. The NimChamp token from the 1939 World's Fair is one of the oldest video game adjacent related collectibles that you can possibly own. So at the 1939 World's Fair, there was a computer called Nimatron that played the game Nim in a programmatic way. So it would basically always win unless you played with perfect strategy. And so Nim is that game where you have like a certain amount of dots and each player removes an arbitrary amount of dots, like 1 or 2 dots, I think. And then whoever removes the last dot loses. And there's obviously an algorithm to that game where it could win every time if it makes the right moves. But I think if you go first, you could technically win. So everybody who won a game against the computer got this little token that said NimChamp on it. And so this as a concept actually didn't go anywhere directly. Like the guy who made this didn't become like one of like these fathers of very early mainframe video games. I think I read somewhere that like he regretted that he didn't continue with the concept and realize like how big it would eventually be. But this is an early electronic computer game. And I think having the physical token related to it is such a cool thing. Someone who played Nimatron held that token. And they not only did they hold the token, they beat Nimatron. Awesome. Earlier this year, 2 of these tokens sold for around $250 each. That is probably double what this was a few years ago. I think I got mine in like 2020 or 2021, and they were like maybe $80 to $100 back then. So these are moving up in prominence. I think, Johnny, this podcast is one of the only places these have ever been brought up. Ever.
I was going to say, do you think you spiked the price of this thing? Because I think you spiked the price of this.
They don't come up very often, and like you only need 2 people to raise the price of it. If you are listening to this podcast, tell me, are you the people? Is someone who listening to this podcast the person who bought the ones from earlier this year? I'm dying to know. Are we hyping the market for NimChamp tokens?
You said that we couldn't affect the market on anything. You said
tell me if we're affecting the market, Johnny.
I'm just wondering if you're waffling on that now.
You don't like these. You've never had interest in owning one of these.
No, I think they're cool. I don't think they're $250 cool.
I think they might be $250 cool. I don't know how much more than that. Because I don't really know how rare they are. They don't come up that often, but I guess they do come up sometimes. But I mean, these are what? These are like 80 years old. That's old.
Yeah, but this is just, look, all the stuff that you're like, this is just stupid shit that you put on your shelf. Isn't this just the same thing?
No, this is a real piece of history.
Okay.
No, a statue that you buy from the fucking comic shop that doesn't sell comic books anymore, that's a stupid piece of shit you put on a shelf. This is like an antique.
I mean, now it's an antique.
I don't think it counts as an antique until it's 100 years old.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm into this, Johnny. Yeah, it's stupid shit you put on your shelf, but it wasn't meant to be collected. I mean, I guess it kind of was meant to be collected. It was like a little collectible from the World's Fair.
I mean, they literally wanted you to collect it, Tyler. That was the whole point.
Johnny, all right, let's get into much newer tokens that are both more common and much more expensive.
And still almost 50 years old.
Johnny, 1977 Chuck E. Cheese tokens. That is the first edition of the Chuck E. Cheese token. I love these. I think these are great. I don't have one. I want one, but I don't want to pay the $600 to $700 per token that these go for. And these come up. There are multiple ones of these in eBay solds, and that is, I didn't go looking for like hidden ones that weren't properly listed, but like there were like 4 or 5 of these in recent eBay solds, all in like the $600 range.
Okay, so what does this have to do with video games?
What does a Chuck E. Cheese token, a company founded by Nolan Bushnell to combine video games with pizza, have to do with video games?
Look, just because he made video games later doesn't mean that this is about video games.
You realize the NimChamp token literally isn't a video game. It's an electronic computer game. It's just a predecessor to video games. So what does that have to do with video games? That's not a video game. That's a computer game.
No. You misunderstand. Because this is just in-house currency, right? The NimChamp, you won this thing, and it is a predecessor of video games. But this is just in-house currency, which could be used theoretically. Like, how many video games were in Chuck E. Cheese in 1977? Do you know? Or was it more skee ball and like carnival style games at that time?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what you did in 1977 in Chuck E. Cheese. That's a great
what I'm
question.
asking. That's why I'm like, this is
but
why
I mean, Chuck E. Cheese is a thing that eventually got associated as like the default childhood arcade with gross pizza.
What is the first arcade?
Whoa.
That's
a weird question because arcades were full of like electromechanical games for like decades. I know, but they were ever full of video games.
Yeah, like I'm not talking about like penny arcades and all this kind of stuff. Like they've existed for a long time. The word arcade is transformed. But as we think of a 1980s arcade, what is credited as like the first like video game arcade? Do we know?
I mean, it would have been one of those electromechanical arcades that got like converted to use more video games.
Oh, okay.
And I bet like if you're looking at like a chain of that, it's probably something in Japan with like Space Invaders that like.
Okay, so that's the place you want the token from.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be great too. But I mean in America, all right. So here we're being very ethnocentric here, but in America, I think Chuck E. Cheese is the default arcade. When I was thinking of like what arcades do I want to own a token from, it's like not even a thought. It's Showbiz Pizza and Chuck E. Cheese are like the iconic 80s arcades. Besides my childhood arcades, which I also want to own tokens from.
Yeah, like I think tokens kind of became synonymous with arcades, but I just feel like they were a thing before video games.
I mean, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I just don't necessarily link them.
Well, the people spending $600 to $700 on them, I bet they weren't there in 1977 when Chuck E. Cheese first opened their doors. I bet they're remembering their childhood 80s and 90s memories playing video games in Chuck E. Cheese. And they're like, hey, you know what? I want the first token.
Okay, so what about Dave and Buster's? Because that was founded in 1982.
Really? Dave and Buster's is that old? Wow. Did they have tokens? I mean, they must have in 19... Really? Dave and Buster's was founded in 1982? All right. I mean, that's its own thing, sure. Are you saying we should get Dave and Buster's tokens?
No, I just think it's something we should look into.
What do you mean we should look into it?
One day we should look into like the history of some arcades. Not that that's really our bent, but like if we want to know where coins came from, like I would just like to have a better answer one day.
A better answer to what? The first arcade?
Yeah, what is the best token? Like
the best token is the 1977 Chuck E. Cheese token.
No,
Johnny, you are not going to find another arcade token that sells for $700. Do you know how many of these tokens there fucking are?
Chuck E. Cheese has its own lore and its own collectability, and that does not necessarily link with video games. Same with Showbiz Pizza. People collect that stuff based on it as a property, not based on video games.
This is a crazy argument for you to not associate Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz with video games. And I recognize that, like, sure, they might not have been as video game focused in 1977, but that's like clearly what they were. They were the combination of animatronics, pizza, and video games.
I mean, they had games.
I'm looking for pictures of a 1977 Chuck E. Cheese.
Please find one. Yeah, I mean, I could be entirely wrong. It doesn't feel like it gets all the way there for me. I can understand the link. I just question how strong that bond is. And I do think Chuck E. Cheese is a collectible on its own. And I don't think people will go, oh, it's because of the video games. I think it's the nightmare fuel that is their animatronics. I mean, the nightmare fuel is really Showbiz Pizza. Man, go watch the Showbiz Pizza documentary.
Is that the one about the guy who restores the rocket fire explosion? Or am I thinking of a different documentary?
Yeah, I think it's called Rocket Fire Explosion.
Yeah, that's a great documentary if you like that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Johnny, I still think, all right, we could look more into tokens, and we haven't, and we're not. It's already 3 a.m. I'm not looking more into
we're not
this,
doing it
but
now.
I love this token. It says 1977 in pizza we trust.
See, even the coin is more about the pizza than the games.
And then the other side of the coin, the obverse, you might say, says Pizza Time Theater, Chuck E. Cheese, and it has the old, like, fat rat style Chuck E. Cheese on it. He has gone through a number of refreshes over the years.
Cool kid skater rat.
So there's the cool kid skater rat. Now there's like the Gen Alpha rat. Like he's not even a rat anymore. Now he's a mouse. Ridiculous.
Yeah, no. Chuck E. Cheese is a rat, and he has a cigar and a bowler
and a fucking New Jersey accent, like real ass Chuck E. Cheese. I fucking love it. Nolan Bushnell is a genius.
Yeah, he looks like someone who would ash on your head if you said something outlandish.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Chuck E. Cheese was like a fucking scumbag.
Yeah,
he's
100%.
So good.
He had a small bat that he hit people with, you know it. And he was like, give me my money.
Oh, man. Man, why did his image refresh is just so terrible.
Yeah. They tried to clean up that image because they're like, we can't have this fucking murderous rat out there. He's like extorting gamblers. He looks like a pit boss, not a friendly mascot for kids who want to play games and eat pizza.
I forgot. So Chuck E. Cheese, the original name was supposed to be, so this was again Nolan Bushnell's idea. Yeah. It was supposed to be called like something Rats. It was like Ricky Rat's Pizza or something. And his investors were like, we're not naming a pizza place with rat in the name.
Yep.
All right, Johnny. other coins that I think are cool. The 1982 World's Fair tokens. So
The same time Dave and Buster's came out.
43 years after that Nimchamp token, there was a World's Fair in Tennessee, I think. And there was this set of 7 tokens that they made. Because guess what? In 1982, they were like, technology, video games. Look at all this cool stuff. And they had the tokens say Video Expo on them, which I guess was like the exhibit of video games that they had at the World's Fair. And they have tokens for Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Space Invaders, Kix, Gorf, Scramble, and Donkey Kong, which feels like a really good representation of the golden age of video games to me. And these aren't like crazy expensive like the other ones. Sometimes you could find them as a full set, but they're like in the $10 to $40 range. And if you just want to pick up like a Pac-Man and a Donkey Kong or like a Space Invaders, I think these are pretty cool. I like them a lot.
I feel like that's pretty representative. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's cool. It's weird that it came out at the same time as Dave and Buster's, though.
What is... I don't know anything about early Dave and Buster's.
Well, you haven't heard about the coin flip? I'll save it for the After Dark.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
But I do have a correction for us. Well, not a correction, an addition. So actually, Tyler, the original name of Chuck E. Cheese was intended to be Coyote Pizza. Did you know that?
I mean, I probably heard it somewhere at some point, but no, I couldn't have told you.
So what happened is when they were making the mascot, they accidentally ordered a rat head instead of a coyote head.
Oh, yeah.
And then the name was changed to Rick Rat's Pizza. And then they were like, oh no, we can't. Nope, no rats. And then it became Chuck E. Cheese. And now Chuck E. Cheese looks more like Stuart Little. And that's weird because in Stuart Little, it never mentions he's a mouse. Think about that for a little while. Anyways, I do think the 1982 World's Fair token is very nice. I like that one. I like that more than Chuck E. Cheese.
All right. I mean, those are pretty common. Those aren't anything like the Nimchamp tokens. I never see anyone collect them or talk about them. Maybe it's because people into arcade games would rather just own the arcade games and not. But like, if you don't want to own like an entire Donkey Kong arcade game, yeah, you just get a little coin. It's fun. And then the other thing I put for coins, Johnny, your childhood arcade. I've got my Fun Zone from Farmingdale, New York arcade tokens. I've got my Adventureland, which was my local amusement park arcade tokens. If you can find like your actual arcade tokens, like on eBay, there are so many arcade tokens. It's insane. Hopefully you could find like your actual childhood arcade. Or if you can't, bulk lots of random arcade tokens usually have a pretty good mix. It's not just like, you're not just going to get like 100 of the same Chuck E. Cheese token. I mean, you might, but I've bought a few of those bulk lots and it was just like tons and tons of different arcade tokens. And now, talking of the 300,000 objects I have in my house, I probably have 1,000 arcade tokens from just like different arcades. And it's fun to sort through that stuff. And like really cheap, like $30 for like a huge lot of multiple pounds of arcade tokens. Like maybe go get some arcade tokens if you really remember that era.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And if you want to add some of like the bigger franchises, you could go with Time Out or Aladdin's Castle arcades.
I don't even know what Time Out is, but all right.
It was one of the bigger early arcade chains. Same with Aladdin's Castle. They operated in the same time frame, 70s, 80s.
All right. I mean, I probably have, if they were that big, I probably have some Time Out tokens.
You probably have an Aladdin's Castle one for sure.
Yeah, I definitely have Aladdin's Castle tokens.
Yeah, check those out.
Time Out looks so 70s. They've got like this tricolor rainbow thing going on. Oh, it is so good.
Yeah. And if you're a 90s kid, there was like, besides Fun Zone, like ours were called all family Fun Zones, but Fun Zone, and Nickelodeon arcades. And then there was even a Disney themed one for a while that was out there. Then it feels like all the arcades just transformed into laser tags.
Oh my God, John, I hate laser tag. I mean, it's because they were all family fun centers, and I don't know what it is about laser tag. It must have been like a good value proposition to convert half of that giant space, because I guess people pay a lot of money for laser tag, and video games only get you like 25 cents each. Yeah. but there's a huge pinball arcade in the Outer Banks of North Carolina that converted half of their They have like 200 pinball machines on the floor. It was like absolutely enormous, and they converted half of it into a laser tag arena. And it's out in the middle of nowhere in like the beach of North Carolina. Who is going there to play laser tag? I don't know.
Corporations for team bonding.
Sure, yeah. They're all really driving out to Grandy, North Carolina, population 300, to go play laser tag at a gas station. Ugh.
Stay mad. All right. Okay. Shall we move on to another reasonable collectible before we get into things like plushes? Or do you want me to sprinkle in some nonsense?
All right, hit me up with some nonsense. Hit me up with a fake collecting category, Johnny.
Okay, I'm going to just talk to you about plushes. And there's not a lot for me to say here, and largely because I don't have the time or energy or really want to go super deep into plushes to understand what makes the plush market. But plushes can be very expensive. They are collectible. There is some way in which you can go spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars or even over $1,000 on a Yoshi. Did you know this? Did you know people are spending this? Yeah, like you can go to eBay and look at closed auctions for Nintendo plush and it's over $1,000. So you're just like, wait, what is happening? Why? And it seems like the more centered around the original release of like a game or a franchise it is, like early Pokemon wants to go for a lot of money, but that's also just because it's Pokemon. The more expensive they get, but like early Donkey Kong ones will go for a lot of money. Pac-Man plushes can be a little bit, but Pac-Man, they made a lot. So it's just like specific ones. But yes, this is a thing that people collect. It's a type of collectible. I don't know enough about it. But yeah, go spend almost $2,000 on your Deca Gurumi plush. It's a 10-inch from Takara. It's a 1995, so vintage Yoshi. Like I said, around the time he came out. Yeah, that's almost $2,000 coming out of Japan. Also, it feels like plushes out of Japan are more expensive than US plushes, but there's also all these promo plushes that come out like around the launch of a game, like a Diddy Kong plush just went for around like $700 and it wasn't even complete. It was like Diddy Kong in the airplane and he was missing the propeller, and that still went for a bunch of money. And then you have like probably the most famous plush not included in a video game, there's a promo one, is for Donkey Kong 64. Target had that box set included, like it was like a pre-order and came with like a DK plush in there, and that thing still goes for like $300. So
that seems nuts to me. I mean, all this seems nuts to me. Just like plushies just seem like a little bit gross. Like I don't think there's probably a great way to clean them, especially if you're talking like collectible hundreds of dollars plushies. They just all seem like a little bit gross. I'm sure like you can clean them in some reasonable way. But I don't know. They're just big sponges of germs to me.
I just picture like a large pile of plushes and somebody unsavory laying on top of them doing unsavory things. Sure. And I don't like it. And I would not want that.
And the bigger the plush, the more likely unsavory things have been done to it.
Yeah, check that for stitch holes.
So, to me, so I realize there's this whole culture of plushies in Japan where I just like...
We don't get it.
I search for random like video game terms, I'll search for like Animal Crossing, and like there'll be like a UFO catcher plushie set, and like a rare plushie will sell for like $800. Like just some random Animal Crossing plushie. It's like who is buying this? What is this? This makes no sense to me. And I just like don't know any of that. Like that I don't connect with any of that. That's all just meaningless to me. I guess when I think of plushies, one that immediately comes to mind is the one that Pat the NES Punk always shows off in his video, the 1982 Donkey Kong plushie. It comes in a bunch of different sizes. There's one that's like 2 feet tall. It just sold on eBay for $250. The smaller ones sell for more like $100. I think that's a really cool one. There's a bunch of Mario plushies from the era. Like, there's so many Mario plushies, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the closer it is of the vintage era, like, more it goes up. But also, if it, like, corresponds with the release of the game or it's a promo, it goes up. And then I wanted to bring up one more brand of plushie, Tyler, before we go. And I call out Sonic plushies specifically because I feel like Sonic has a weird subculture. And I know
really?
weird is
Sonic has a weird subculture of all subcultures. Wow, really? That's a bold choice.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe weird is too offensive a term. It sounds like a value judgment. But yeah, definitely there's some furry stuff going on. And Sonic plushies, a couple of them you can go look, closing over $2,000, Tyler. Do you want a Sonic Adventure 2 Soap Shoes Sega Japan 2001 plush for $2,400?
Johnny, I don't want. I don't want anything for $2,400.
How about Rogue from 2004 Sonic X, boobs and all?
Yeah, I do not want a used Rogue plushie. There's probably someone to a used Rogue plushie that's like a bonus to them. They're like, I do want to pay a premium for that being used, actually. But no, I do not want that in the slightest.
So yeah, $900 to $1,000. That Rogue plushie, because it's got boobs. I feel like we've talked about boobs a lot in the last couple of episodes, but I'm telling you, boobs sell things, and including this plushie, which gets it into the 4-digit range, unfortunately.
All right, Johnny, do we need to talk about plushies anymore?
We don't. I just wanted to look, again, we're not the experts. I just want to acknowledge it's collectible. I acknowledge that I don't understand it. I don't know enough about it. So don't at me for not understanding plushie stuff. You're free to do whatever you like. I don't know about it, and I don't want to research it.
All right. Excellent. Johnny, let's let me check off the plushie thing. You could say this episode's been flush with plush.
Yeah, it has. Look, as someone who frequently talks about flush with plush stuff, this is not it.
Johnny, I want to talk about a real collectible category now.
Oh, you're just disparaging all these people now?
Let's talk about periodicals. And I mean, this is going to be some obvious stuff, but
and you like all the times you call me a boomer and you're like, let's talk about comics and coins and periodicals. Doop, 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 doop.
Johnny, periodicals are real collectibles because most people just threw them out. That makes them real.
It's garbage.
Yeah. The more trash a collectible is, the more collectible it is. I'm making sure. Yeah. Like comics, people threw out comics. Maybe not actually, probably in the 90s. I don't know how many people threw out comics. Probably Blip magazine. I don't know. People probably threw a bunch of those out, even though there are a lot of like 9.8.
Not enough people threw them out.
Probably not enough. I think like after what? When did people stop throwing out comics? Was it like the 70s?
Probably
because like whenever the first price guide came out, that's when people go like, "Whoa."
I feel like sometime in the middle of the Bronze Age, people stopped throwing away comics.
All right, Johnny, periodicals. The top of everything, and I realize comics are they periodicals? Whatever. The top thing is it Nintendo Fun Club News 1. I mean, the top thing's Nintendo Power 1 now because the crazy prices people are paying for it. But
no, it's still Nintendo Fun Club.
I think Fun Club News 1 is actually cool.
News 1, News 1. It's really cool. There's no big dumb cover on it. It just looks like trash. It looks like something you would throw away. It looks like somebody might knock on your door and ask to talk to you about a specific subject on Sunday morning and hand it to you.
It is so good. I love that it looks like that, but then also like it's got the big red picture of Mario on it and it's got the Nintendo Fun Club news banner on it. So it looks like actual garbage. That's just like, some stupid newsletter, but it's also so obviously the Nintendo garbage. Yeah. I don't know how to describe what I'm saying, but
do you have a moment to talk to us about Nintendo?
So, this was the predecessor to Nintendo Power, if you don't know. This was given out for free. Johnny, I don't remember how you actually got this.
You had to register for it.
Yeah, you had to like send away.
Send it away.
Card, but it was definitely free.
Yeah, it was free. I have. So even the leaflets around I have one that says like, apply for your Nintendo Fun Club membership today for free, Like, and they did this thing where it was like timed. If you like, I think it come in games, or did it just come with other magazines? Did it come in the mail? I can't remember. I think I got.
Yeah, no, I think there's games that came with.
I think it came in the systems too. Didn't it come in some systems when you bought it too?
Maybe.
Anyways, yeah, you get this thing. It's like for a limited time. Like it's expiring now. Like, and there's no date on it or anything, so I don't know how they would check. And they obviously mass produce these. It was just a tactic to get you to register with them as quickly as possible, so they could send you their marketing material and make you buy games.
Yep. And so it only lasted for 7 issues before they turned it into Nintendo Power, which was just not only was it random stupid marketing material to get you to buy games, you actually paid for Nintendo Power. Although it was like $20 a year when I subscribed. It was like really nothing.
Yeah, it was not much. And so even in Fun Club though, the first 2 issues look different than the rest of the run. So after issue 2, it becomes more like it's like a leaflet before that, and then this actually has like a proper cover. I know I said it looks like something that you get handed on a Sunday morning, but really it looks like a bad high school newspaper.
Yeah, it's newsprint. Like. The first 2 are newsprint. Yeah. They're like tiny little newspapers. Yeah. I love them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great. But after that, they become like little magazines.
Yeah.
And then it becomes the Nintendo Power that we get used to with the claymation covers and all the multiple iterations that it goes through over time.
So the first issue, I think the first issue is so much better than any of the other. I mean, that's not a surprising stance, but it's also the hardest to find, and it's Mario, and it's got the newsprint. And the last one sold Christmas of last year for $4,000, but this was such a nice copy. So this came in, it came in a little envelope with like a little window for the address, and it came with a bunch of different inserts. The welcome to like the Nintendo Fun Club insert. It's got 2 business reply mail, like registration cards. It comes with a letter like thanking you for joining the Nintendo Fun Club. It's got a little insert for buying Nintendo books, like How to Win at Super Mario Brothers. It is so good. Having this with the envelope, I've seen a few copies out there with the envelope. I think it's so good. I mean, $4,000 is a crazy amount of money, but considering the price of comics, I don't know. It doesn't seem like ridiculous. I feel like if they like graded it and sold it on Heritage Auctions, like I bet it would get way more than that for some reason.
Well, and if you look at graded copies now, people are asking like absurd numbers for like, oh, this was signed by Howard Phillips and this has all the, like people are asking for dumb money for these. And the grades on these are typically very low. So if anyone ever has one that gets over a 7, and I haven't seen one over a 7 yet, if someone gets like a 7 or not a 7, like a 9 on one of these things, it's going to go for so much money.
Yeah. And I guess all the other, I mean, you could pick up Nintendo Fun Club news. Like the issues that aren't 1 and kind of 2 are really common and stupid, and no one cares. Like less than $20 for some of these. But I don't think
the Zelda ones.
Honestly.
There's 2 Zelda ones that'll fetch you a little more than that. But then there's like Mike Tyson's one that's like a pretty famous cover.
Yeah. So the second issue has Octoroks on the front. It really doesn't look that good. But the third issue is a full color. It's the Famicom Disk System art to Legend of Zelda. It's
great.
That's a good issue.
Yeah, and then the what is it? 6 is Zelda 2, and it's got the Zelda 2 art on it.
Oh, I don't even know. You think I memorized like the Fun Club issues here? Like, yes, 6 is Zelda 2, Johnny.
Yeah.
Hold on. So $4,000 for like a really nice. I don't know if it's like 100% complete, but with the envelope and a lot of inserts for issue 1. Now let's go to the Heritage Auctions. One sold yesterday. $5,000 for a 7.0 graded with none of the extra stuff, Johnny. What is wrong? You guys, you could have got a much better copy for $1,000 less, but it wouldn't have been from the Carolina collection. So,
oh, well, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Who's the Carolina collection again?
I think that's the Go Collect guy, Jeff.
Oh, is that Jeff?
All right. And then issue 2 in a 7.0 from the Carolina collection sold for $840, a lot more affordable.
Yeah,
A
you
lot
can
more
get
for it.
that
I mean,
one.
I think it's like $400 for a loose one, an ungraded one.
Yeah. People will try to get you on this too because they'll be like volume 1 and then they'll be like number 2. So just be careful of that. If it's got Octoroks, it's the second one. If it's got Mario on it, it's the first one.
All right, Johnny, let's talk about Nintendo Power, a magazine that touched the lives of people.
So many young boys.
For 30 years, and then it's gone because magazines don't exist anymore.
Thanks, Jeff. Oh, no, he's not responsible for that. That was just media falling out of favor.
So, Johnny, if you were a member of the Nintendo Fun Club and you got those 7 newsletter issues, you actually got the first issue of Nintendo Power for free. And I'm sure if Stefan was here, he could rattle off the circulation numbers for that first issue. But needless to say,
it's like 3 million or something.
There were a lot of issues of Nintendo Power 1. But a lot of them aren't in great condition anymore because think of how you stored your Nintendo Power magazines when you were 12 years old. Yeah, you threw them on a shelf.
My God,
I read through my magazines. I would read through the same magazine like 5 times.
So many times. So many times I went through that magazine. And I would just crease that spine. I would just be like, fold this page over. I don't want it rolling back on me.
If you are in Gen Z, you don't understand. Before the internet, there was nothing about video games. Like, I couldn't just consume video game content. I couldn't even read about video games. So I just have to read the same magazine over and over because I just wanted to read more about video games. And then like in the mid 2000s, whenever I got like Tech TV, and occasionally Tech TV would have like a 30-minute show about video games, it was like, oh my God. On the TV, they're talking about video games for 30 minutes. And I was just glued because I could not believe that something about video games was happening. That was like in the PS2 era. It was still like, it's still a novelty to get like video game media at all in that era.
Yeah, X-Play came out and then you were just like, what is this world that we live in now? We're in the future.
Crazy future. Anyway, that's probably why a lot of Nintendo Powers aren't in great condition. But I mean, there still are so many copies of Nintendo Power that there's enough reasonable copies, if you want to spend $17,000 for one. So
don't do that.
Speaking of which, yesterday during the Heritage Auction signature auction, a copy of Nintendo Power 1 in 9.4 condition sold for $17,000.
Oh my God.
And that went to the Reddit guy, the guy who founded Reddit, Alexi, whatever his name is. I think he was posting about it on Twitter. Kind of strange because that guy like has seemingly unlimited money. I realize that like a 9.8 Nintendo Power 1, there's only so many of those, but I think there's a few more 9.6s. And if you have like God money, it seems like you would at least get a 9.6. But what do I know about being rich? For the rest of us,
shouldn't he have posted that on Reddit?
I don't know, dude.
He probably would have been downvoted. He spent too much money on a video game. He downvoted into oblivion.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
definitely not making the front page.
You can't post your graded video games on the game collecting subreddit because everyone's just like, this wasn't found at Goodwill. Fuck this shit.
But if you want like, a 6.0 though graded, you can get that for like $500.
Okay, but if you're gonna get a graded 6.0, just get like a loose copy of Nintendo Power. Like what's the point of grading an okay condition magazine? Like, what are we even doing at that point?
But that's what I'm saying. But like loose copies of it, some that like look okay are still selling for like $400.
Yeah, I mean it seems like it starts like $100 for like a somewhat beater now, and it goes up to like multiple hundreds for the nicer copies.
Yeah, and I have
just
no
not going to
idea
get a mint one because people snapped them all up and are grading them.
Yeah, I don't know how to identify the condition of a magazine like within the ranges of being able to say like that's probably a 7 versus a 6. I don't like, obviously you can look at it and be like, this one looks pretty good and this one looks trashy, but magazines are so subjective. Like things just happen to magazines. They're designed, they're garbage. So they're more garbage than comic books are.
Assuming, that they grade magazines similar to comic books, like a 9 and above for a magazine is just like so nice.
Yeah.
I saw a graded, it was I forgot what company it was, but it was a jewel case PlayStation game with a crack on the front of the jewel case, and it got a 7.5. It was like a sealed PlayStation game or something. And if that was a comic book and there was just like a tear in the center of the comic, it would be like 0.5, no question.
No,
like, fuck it, this is garbage. Video games are graded so softly, it's ridiculous.
I mean, but the case really isn't.
I don't care the case. It's part of the whole presentation of the object.
Oh, okay.
And there's a huge crack in it, and it should just be an 0.5, I think. It's
Okay,
like automatically
Let me ask you.
Yes.
If I replace the case, then is it a restoration?
It's a sealed game. Doesn't matter.
No. We're gonna get into the world. There are no sealed comics.
Oh, absolutely.
Not
Yeah, no,
really.
you can't replace the case. So it comes down to the thing like, is there any company on Earth that can really tell if you swapped out a PlayStation case with like an NSYNC case from the same era?
No, like what if you just replaced it with another nice PlayStation case?
I mean, if it's so are you saying like if it was a perfect match?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
That's why they don't get graded the same as a comic with a tear in it. Because
But this is a sealed game. You can't just replace the case.
But
so it doesn't. The theoretical ability to replace the case doesn't mean that the actual damaged game isn't a damaged game. It's still garbage. Maybe I'll give it a 1.0 to be nice because it's just the case.
Well, fine. We're not going to agree on this, but at least tell me how much you value the final issue of Nintendo Power and why people should collect that.
I hate that so much, but I guess it's because I remember. I don't know, speculative buying. When like a bunch of people get excited for something, I just like it immediately. If I see like multiple people telling me to buy something, the last thing I really remember this was I saw a bunch of people buying like Wii U copies of Breath of the Wild on Amazon, saying that they were a good investment because, of course, Wii U is going to be the next Sega Saturn. But I remember when Nintendo Power ended, there was just a bunch of people who were piling on, buying the last issue as an investment. And it's like, well, guys, if you're all buying this, I bet the circulation numbers for that last issue are a lot higher than that second to last issue.
100%.
It doesn't do anything for me. I think if you're getting like the full set of Nintendo Power, that's cool. Just having the last issue on its own, like, why? I would rather just have the first issue. Maybe if you have the first and last issue as a set, because they got like the cover art going on.
Book ending.
It's all right. I mean, I don't hate it, but I hate like everyone bought one. So like, what's the point? Like, all right, yeah, you could get it in nice condition because there's just a bunch of people who ordered them.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I don't like the last issue of Nintendo Power. I'll tell you something I do like. If you were subscribed to Nintendo Power when it ended, you got a special subscription edition of the last issue that actually called it out. So it came in a sealed baggie with the front. You can't even see the front of the cover. It's got like one of those pieces of paper over it that says final issue. That's cool, I think. And it's only like $200. Whatever, like $200 for a magazine from 2012. Still kind of ridiculous.
Is it really 2012?
What was it, like 2011? I don't remember. It was something like that.
I don't know. God, no, it had to be later than that, right?
Nope. Nintendo Power, last issue. I'm typing this on eBay. December 2012.
My God, it doesn't seem that long ago. Tyler. Ugh.
Anyways, those sealed subscriber editions, those are very available. Oh man, even cheaper than I thought. Last one sold for like $122. I think that is better than the other versions, or you can actually see the cover. Oh man, you can get an unsealed one with the letter for like $60. I'm in.
And Nintendo Power always had subscriber variants. By the way, just like I think through its whole run or most of its run.
Yes. So, the subscriber variants you're talking about is when your subscription ended, they would put like this poster over the front of your issue. And so you could find those for basically every issue of Nintendo Power, I assume after like the 13th issue, or I don't know when they started doing that, but like every issue basically more or less has a final issue variant where theoretically that would be someone's last issue. I think those are super cool.
Also, it won't have... I think the retail versions had barcodes and the subscriber versions don't.
Yes.
And the subscriber ones obviously had that annoying sticker on the front that like had your address on it.
Yep. And the
Never
same thing
tried
with
to
this
remove
last issue.
those.
There's some with barcodes and then some without. I don't know why anyone would pay a different premium, but I guess get whatever one you want. They seem to be the same in price.
Anyways,
all right,
we did it.
Don't we have one more thing to go? Yeah, Johnny, we do have one more thing to go over.
Oh no,
because this episode is long as hell. Johnny, I want to talk about the December 7th, 1972 issue of Rolling Stone magazine. I think so. I haven't double checked my information, but as of the last time I actually tried looking this up, this was the first time video games were reported in a major periodical. It was a 6-page article on a Space War tournament. It wasn't even just a Space War tournament. It was a lot about a Space War tournament. It was also about the hackers who were creating Space War, and it was a lot about the general, like, whoa, this is the future of humans interacting with computers. This is something like people actually want to do. This is amazing. Look at this game. It's nothing for a computer to run a game like this. And think of all the amazing things that will happen in the future. And because, like, we're talking about 1972, like mainframe computers. This is way before like Apple II, Commodore PET, TRS-80 really exploded the computer market. It's a great article. I love it. I bought this magazine probably for $30. I didn't even look up what it costs now. Should we try to see if we could find a 1972 issue of Rolling Stone, Johnny? I don't think anyone is buying this issue for this Space War article, and I think it's awesome. Go ahead, go buy it. Yeah, dude, probably. Did I say $40? I bet you can get this less. You could probably get this for $20 maybe. I see there's huge lots of, believe it or not, Rolling Stone was a very popular magazine. It's actually it's like a newspaper format. But yeah, you can get random issues from 1971 and 1972 for like $20. Big lots of them for $40 for like 12 issues. Go get this. I love it. Johnny, I don't know if you know, I love video game history from the 1970s. Oh, so cool.
I did know that, actually. That's the thing I knew about you.
All right. And we've already been going on about the periodicals. But, Johnny, there are a bunch of games from this mainframe era that don't have physical releases. And as a video game collector who likes video game history, it's a little bit annoying. Because you look at, like, Oregon Trail and the Sumerian game, and it's like, these are edutainment games that were made for, like, classes on mainframes. I just want to buy a floppy disk. Let me buy a floppy disk. But these were made in like the 1960s. There is no floppy disk. But a lot of them have updated versions that were published in magazines and books that were like type-in basic programs. And so, just to give an example of one that a lot of Collector's Quest people are into, Hunt the Wumpus. The source code for Hunt the Wumpus, which is I don't know how to describe it. It's not an action game. It's a maze game, a strategy game. You're basically in a maze grid with a wumpus. And based on a bunch of different clues, you have to shoot your arrow in a certain direction into the dark to try to determine where it is. And you basically win if you hit it, you lose if you don't hit it. That's probably not a great description of the game, but that is what Hunt the Wumpus is. It's a text-based game. Anyway. It was published in the People's Computer Company newsletter, and then also a 1975 issue of Creative Computing. So you could get the TI-99 version of Hunt the Wumpus, but if you want the original physical edition of this early mainframe game, maybe the People's Computer Company newsletter, whichever issue of that had it, might be the original thing. And when you start looking into these newsletters, because there are a couple of these games that come out on these like these newsletters. Some of them are specific to like universities, and I look into some of them, and some of them have like circulations. There's like 800. They'll have the circulation numbers, and it'll be like 800 copies of this newsletter existed in like 1973. And like, obviously you go look for it and you'll find like one random issue of that newsletter that's like 6 years off the one that you actually want. And it's just impossible to find. And this gets into the thing where it's like, no one is collecting this stuff because it's just so rare and so obscure. But if you find it, you are probably the only person looking for this. If you're looking for like some random computer history newsletter kind of thing. And you can maybe get it for like $75 when it's like the only copy on Earth. I think that's kind of cool.
And then you know what to do. You hype it up on all the social media channels.
And put it on Heritage Auctions.
Yeah, you talk about how rare it is and how hard it was to find it, and then you sell it, and then you make your money.
Absolutely. People are going to love your printout or your type in basic source code for Hunt the Wumpus. The first print of that, everyone is looking for that. That is some serious stuff.
You're going to make some money.
I don't know. I bring this up on the show, but just my favorite magazines are Next Generation, which was a 90s game industry magazine that was a lot less stupid and child-focused than just about every other magazine at the time. Like, still, obviously, like, kids are reading it. It's just... It took video games more seriously than just the fucking Nintendo Powers bullshit.
That's what they probably talked about in their team meetings. They were like, guys, our angle is we aren't going to talk down to kids. We're going to talk to them about the real stuff going on in video games.
Yeah, that was their meetings. They're like, yeah, we're not going to just be, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a bad video game magazine, but I guess all the video game magazines were bad.
Nintendo Power, Pro.
Yeah, not only is Nintendo Power a super advertising vehicle, I just can't stand going through issues of Nintendo Power and them having like the first third of a game, having like the most detailed hand-drawn walkthrough for the part of the game that absolutely no one needs a walkthrough for. Like, why wouldn't in the Ninja Gaiden issue, I think so it goes really detailed into the early part of the game, and then if I remember, they like ran out of room and crammed like the last couple of stages onto one page that like clearly didn't get as much effort. The only part of the Ninja Gaiden that anyone needs help with is level 6-2. And like maybe like Jackio at the end of the game. You can forget the rest. Is Infinite continues. Oh, how do I beat Ninja Gaiden? I don't know. Keep bashing your head at it until you just beat it. But then when you get to the very end of the game, that is where you probably need to discuss specific strategies for getting past certain screens at the very end of the game. That's the only part that anyone would need Nintendo Power for. But they're like, oh, in the first level, you hit the guy with your sword. Here's where all the power-ups are that you don't need because it's the first level of the game. Nintendo Power is awful. Just burn your copies of Nintendo Power 1. It's a terrible magazine.
Except the Fun Club News.
Fun Club News is cool. I can fuck with Fun Club News. It's just an advertisement, makes no bones about anything.
Nice use of slang there. I like how you put that in there as if to link yourself to the kids.
What slang did I use?
I fuck with that.
Oh yeah,
cool.
I fuck with Fun Club News.
Yeah, I fuck with Fun Club News. Sorry, Tyler, I can't talk to you anymore. I got a dip.
I don't know what Riz is, Johnny. I knew at one point.
Tyler, let me tell you how it is no surprise to me that you don't know what Riz is. All right. As someone I'm sure has zero.
Yeah. I feel like I might have zero Riz.
100%. You got zero Riz.
Okay.
All right. I got all the Riz we need though. Don't worry about it. Anyways, let me talk to you about something that kids with real Riz have, and that's sweet apparel, Tyler.
All right, we're getting to another fake collecting category. I'm sorry to you vintage t-shirt collectors. I know you're out there, but
vintage band, like, is this just an extension of people who collect vintage band shirts? I don't know. This is another collectible I just don't know enough about, and unlike the plushes, feel free to educate me on this one. You can talk to me about shirts and why they're collectible, because I don't get it. But Tyler, to what you say and believe, like, this stuff was just meant to be worn and trashed eventually, and shirts just deteriorate after washing. These are things that are definitely disposable items. So the fact that they still exist, shouldn't that make them cool to you? No?
What do I do with it?
You wear it.
No, I don't wear it, because I'm just going to trash it. Like, graphic t-shirts, like, I feel like you wear them for, like, a week. Like, you wear them, like, 7 days, not, like, in a row, obviously. But, like, you wash them a few times, then they just start looking like garbage, and then you throw them out. That's why I don't wear t-shirts anymore.
Yeah.
They're just trash. And like as a collectible, like what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna have a wardrobe full of like collectible apparel that I just like thumb through. Like, oh, check out my Sonic the Hedgehog T-shirt. It's vintage.
I'm like, do you fold them, or is like folding bad? Like, do people like? I know some people get very particular about like the type of hangers they have because you get the shoulder points and stuff on it, and people don't like that. I wonder what the real collectors are really obsessing about when they get the shirts and stuff. And what are they looking at? Like, how are they deciding what's a really good one versus like what's a 9 and what's a 5 in their world? I don't know. Like, obviously there's going to be some color fading, probably break on the graphic design, peeling. I mean, there's basic quality issues that you could speak to, but anyways.
I'm Johnny. I'm just gonna give an update here. I'm looking at some guy, my vintage T-shirt collection on YouTube. He's got 150,000 subscribers, and he just got them on like plastic Walmart hangers. Okay, just chilling. That's how he's storing his T-shirts.
All right. I wonder if that's a real deal or that's just a fake collector with a bunch of stuff. We'll see. Anyways, so here's the thing that I've noticed in my brief look over of shirts. E3 promos, any promotional type of shirt, like the Pepsi promos, closer it is to vintage. So promos and vintage stuff is going to be what fetches money. And some of these shirts do go well over $100, $500, close to $1,000, especially the closer it is to a bigger franchise. So bigger franchises and of the era. So a Final Fantasy VII shirt that came out around the release of Final Fantasy VII and from IDOS, right? That thing is going, like, I think I had this shirt and like one sold for over $700, which is crazy to me. But there's like a WarioWare shirt that sold for almost $800. A lot of Resident Evil stuff.
WarioWare shirt sold for $800? WarioWare?
It was an E3 promo shirt, and it was for...
Just because it's an E3 promo shirt doesn't mean it has to be worth $1,000.
I understand. And then there's the other things, other promos, like the Donkey Kong plush, and you get like the Spyro sealed shirt. So it's like a pre-order only at Best Buy. This one is for Spyro, came in a little, you'll see them sealed, and a lot of times they make it try to look like a video game box. And it's just a shirt inside. So these go for some money. Zelda shirts go for money. I just noticed that Resident Evil is always like at the top of these lists for shirts. People love these Resident Evil, Mortal Kombat, vintage TurboGrafx 16 shirts. So not a TurboGrafx 16 shirt now, but a TurboGrafx 16 shirt that was released of the era. Like when Bonk's Revenge came out, that's the shirt you want, right? So that's the kind of stuff we're looking for. All games that look like anime, that's always going to be up there. So that's kind of what you're looking for. So you've got your 3 basic categories: E3 promos, classic prints of the era, so actual vintage stuff, and then pre-orders and other promo types. That's where you're going to find most of your apparel that's fetching money. But like there's a vintage Devil's Crush one, which I think is just like kind of terrible looking, and that shirt, it's not even that rare, but I've seen it sell for over a couple $100 multiple times. So, what are you gonna do?
All right, I hate apparel. I kind of get the TurboGrafx guys though. So when you get to Nintendo is such a big company that has been around for over 100 years that there's like an impossible amount of Nintendo merch to collect. So like, why would you collect random T-shirts for Nintendo? Is kind of my thing there. When it comes to TurboGrafx guys are so into TurboGrafx, and like they're in love with a console that has like 80 games. So there's only so much TurboGrafx stuff to get that they want like everything. So I get when people pay $200 for a Devil's Crush t-shirt because they just need everything TurboGrafx in their life.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think the kitschier the shirt too, like the less of them there are available. I like outside of like major Nintendo stuff, you start to see like things spike up. Like there's like a vintage Centipede shirt from like 1981 that went for like $200. There's a Pool of Radiance shirt.
There's a Pool of Radiance shirt?
Yeah. So, but there's...
What are you talking about? Did that sell? I want to find the Pool of Radiance shirt, Johnny.
Yeah, $195.
Oh, look at that shirt. That's so weird.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Especially on the black background. But
What,
there's
it's
newer
a
stuff
Nintendo
too.
Pool of Radiance shirt that says the Nintendo seal
Yeah.
of quality. This is a shirt for the Nintendo port of Pool of Radiance. Where did this shirt come from?
I don't know. It looks like it's something that shouldn't have sold for that much money. But there's also new stuff too. Like there's new like Fallout New Vegas shirts, Twisted Metal, even though like Twisted Metal 3, Halo shirts and stuff. There's Silent Hill shirts go. So big properties, it's just a thing that people collect. It's not like there's a few. There's like a lot of these things that have sold for over $100. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that sold for like $10 and $15 too. But like even now, so there's an the Evil Dead game. So part of one of the promos with it that came in the box was a shirt. And lots of people bought that box and kept the shirt. So you will constantly see that without the shirt. You'll see the promo box, no shirt included, no shirt included. And the difference of the shirt being included bumps up the value like $50 to $100 if the shirt is in it. Doesn't matter if it's worn or not. Like obviously if it's new, it goes up. Sizing depending. Bigger shirts usually fetch more money too because more people can wear them. So you appeal to a wider audience. Yeah, there's a lot going on with shirts. I don't understand exactly, but hey, if you're the guy who loves Zool and you paid $131 for that vintage 1993 Zool shirt, more power to you. So, anyways, that's out there. There's apparel and people collect it.
Johnny, this Pool of Radiance shirt is Hanes tagless. Would there be a tagless T-shirt from like the early 90s?
There sure wouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm suspicious, but it also looks like kind of shitty. So
like
it's clearly someone wore this.
Oh yeah. No, that shirt looks like somebody just printed that. That looks like print on demand. But that's why I was saying about the kitschier it is. Like if there's not a lot of them, someone may have been tricked. They should not. But yeah, it should not be tagless.
All right.
Especially if there's any kind of like printing onto like depending on the nape of the neck, if there's like printing and there's no care and wash instructions, I have questions.
Johnny, I collected one shirt in my life. It was
was it good?
No. It was there was a silent pinball auction at a pinball tournament, and there was a t-shirt from Spooky Pinball, which was a very new company at the time. And I'm like, oh, this is a really boutique pinball company. Whatever. I'll win this shirt, and then I'll have like a shirt from a weird company. Like they've become a major pinball company now, so having a Spooky Pinball shirt is no big deal. But I won this shirt, and I like didn't know what to do with it. I hung it on a wall. It was in my garage. I put a hanger on the wall. I'm like, there's my collectible t-shirt. And I hated it so much that after like a year or two, I just couldn't stand looking at it anymore, and I threw it out.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Yes.
You threw it away?
Oh, I threw it out.
And hold on. You hung it on your wall?
Maybe I donated. I don't remember what I did. I hung it on my wall. What was I going to do with it? Just put it in my closet, have it take up my closet space? So when I'm thumbing through my shirts, I'm like, oh, there's my Spooky Pinball shirt that I don't wear.
You didn't wear it?
collectible.
That's weird.
Why is that weird? Collecting shirts sucks. Nothing about it feels good. I would so much rather have a framed poster than a shirt.
I have lots of collectible shirts.
I guess, do you wear t-shirts though? Are they like things that you wear?
Yeah, I wear them. They're not really collectible.
All right. I mean, if you wear, because like I don't wear t-shirts at all because I hate t-shirts because they all just look like shit after you wash them.
These are mainly button-ups. I buy those dumb button-ups that, go with the things I like. I love to be a walking billboard. Give me that button-up Masters of the Universe tee.
Shirts are, if you guys are out there and you're wearing some video game shirts, like maybe get some nice button-up shirts. It's a way to make me seem like more of an adult in your life. Yep. I was really happy about my transition from black t-shirts to colorful button-up shirts. I feel like more of an adult now, Johnny, even though I have a video game podcast.
I did the same thing. I was like, I need to do more. So at least if these shirts are button-ups, then it'll be better.
Short sleeve button-up shirts are the perfect shirt, Johnny. It's casual, but it's like maybe kind of nice enough that like you wear it to the office, no one's gonna care.
Yeah, 100%. And no one in my office cares. So like they don't care at all.
Johnny, I want to talk about a real collecting category here.
I know you do.
Well, how long are we into this episode? Oh, this is going to be a long one. Stamps.
That from the start.
Johnny, this was the last one Tiger Wolf, I think, mentioned as a real collecting category. There are not that many video game stamps. And the reason is every country on Earth, they will only put something on a stamp that their country is famous for, with very few exceptions. So there are some very, very small countries that basically only exist, like their postal system only exists to sell stamps to collectors elsewhere. And some of those make things that their country isn't famous for just because they want to sell stamps. But you're not going to find many video game stamps because, one, America, we just don't make video game stamps. We put out serious stamps about serious science and nature and stuff. And there's a few in Japan.
That's why I have Star Wars stamps.
Yes, very serious artistic merits like Star Wars. That too. Japan has a few video game stamps because that's where all the other video games come from. And then the UK just recently in like 2020, they put out a really nice set with a bunch of British games like Wipeout and Tomb Raider. They have a stamp set of that. But like, how many countries do you know that are really known for their video game output? Outside of that, like, I'm sure like you could name some German and Polish games or whatever, but you know what? Sure, there's like a Witcher stamp from Poland too. There's very few video game stamps though. I'm not going to go over all of them. I do think I am a leading world authority on video game stamps, Johnny, as I will toot my own horn every time this topic comes up.
I mean, even though you just called The Witcher a video game and not a book first, but all right.
The stamp is specifically Geralt from the video game, Johnny.
Okay.
And I did mention in my video game stamp collecting guide that Geralt is technically a literary character and not a video game character, but the stamp is clearly depicting the video game version of him.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
There might be multiple companies, but there are companies that will literally sell you lists of stamps to collect. This is what I want this for video games. They have gone through all the stamps, and if you want to collect like lighthouses, they will sell you a list of every lighthouse stamp. Like that's all the company does is they make lists. It would be a perfect job for me.
God, that sounds amazing.
If you just want ducks, yeah, get the duck lists. They'll like sorted by type of duck, whatever you want. We got lists of ducks for you because like they're like old men buying these lists. So there's no list of video game stamps. There are people who look into computer stamps and technology stamps. Nothing for video games because the crossover between kids who play video games and old men collecting stamps is apparently literally zero. So there are you look up like video game stamps. There are like shitty blog lists of people who just like try to compile it based on like Google searches, but they're terrible because like those kind of blog things. You can't do that kind of research on Google. So Johnny, what I did, I've looked at every stamp from every country since like 1970. I spent weeks of my life going through stamp catalogs, which by the way are very expensive and hard to find, especially for every country on the earth. And I tried to find every video game stamp.
And how'd
Johnny,
you do?
There's a guide on Video Game Sage, by the way. The pictures got broken, but the info is all still there. It's all still good. Johnny, let me talk about my favorite video game stamps.
Okay.
The first video game stamp, as far as I can tell, is from Netherland Antilles in October 1988. There's a set of 3 stamps called the 1988 Youth Care Campaign, 1953 Vorhetkind 1988. It's a nice little sheet with a rainbow on it. It's got a kid with a boombox on it. It's got a kid watching TV. And then it has a little girl on a computer. On the computer is not a video game. But behind her, for some reason, are little Pac-Men. And it was 1988 when this game came out. I have to imagine that those Pac-Men are referencing the video game or computer game, Pac-Man. So I'm calling this the first video game stamp, Johnny. This set, this 1988 Youth Care Campaign Netherland Antilles stamp set is like $4. You want any stamps from the past 100 years? It's worthless. You can get any stamp you want. I love stamps. What a great collectible. Netherlands Antilles is a country that doesn't even exist anymore. How cool is that? Go get this.
Is that cool that they don't exist anymore?
I love collecting stamps from countries that don't exist anymore. That's such a cool piece of history, Johnny. Oh, someone talked to me about collecting stamps. You know what else you can get? You can get like stamps that were flown on the Hindenburg, because they flew so many pieces of mail on the original flights of the Hindenburg, like before it crashed, obviously. So you can get like some Hindenburg stamps. Oh, so good. Love stamps.
It's pretty cool.
All right, Johnny.
All right.
The United States of America, in the history, video games is a really big industry in America. You think of like some of our major, like Valve, Epic Games. None of these guys are big enough to get a stamp somehow. I don't know what is going on. We have all these stupid stamps. We got like astronauts. Who cares about astronauts? Oh, they sat in a space shuttle and went up to space. Big deal. They didn't make Fortnite. Something that everyone can relate to.
Yeah, fuck you, Neil Armstrong.
Johnny, we have literally made one video game stamp ever depicting an actual video game. And it is from a set called Celebrate the Century 1980s. So in the year 2000, they came out with these sheets having stamps celebrating the past 100 years of American history. Your grandparents bought these. If you don't know, ask your grandparents. They bought these because they thought they were super cool collectible. They were like, oh my God, the whole century? I lived through this whole century, and now I can get stamps about this whole century? My grandpa did indeed buy multiple copies of these sheets, which are now, of course, worthless. There's a stamp called Video Games, and it shows a kid playing Atari 2600 Defender. It doesn't mention Defender anywhere on the stamp. It's just cool that you can recognize it as Atari 2600 Defender. This stamp is worthless. It's the only American video game stamp. I still think it's super cool. And then Johnny. So those first two are worthless. I'm going to talk about probably the most collectible video game stamps. If I had to guess, this is it. It is the Super Mario Bros. Stamp collection. And the fun part of this is a collectible book of stamps released in 2007 in Japan. It was around $100 for this like little, it's like a nice little booklet that opens, and then there's like 12 or something 80 yen stamps inside of it. And you can get it for about $100 when it came out, which is much more than the actual postage was. And so Johnny, I just want to talk about stamps. So Mario is not on the stamps. These are generic, like Nippon Post stamps, but next to the stamps are basically stickers that have Mario and various Super Mario Brothers 1 images on them. So Mario isn't technically on the stamp. He's on what's called an etiquette, which is like a little like decorative thing you place next to the stamp. But whatever, we could basically consider these Mario stamps. And these are probably be some hundreds of dollars. I couldn't even find one for sale because they are kind of rare. And the other interesting thing, Johnny, one of the etiquettes depicts a Fire Flower Mario in the small form, which is factually incorrect. You can't actually do that. Neat.
Error.
Yeah. It's an error stamp, Johnny.
That's correct.
All right. Go get some stamps. Someone get interested in stamps. Start looking, find some more video game stamps.
Can we just say lick your stamps, please?
You gotta lick your stamps. You guys better not be just like hoarding these stamps and not using them.
Yeah. If you're not licking your stamps, what are you even doing?
So, if you're gonna be that guy, there's another category for you. So basically every stamp has what's called a first day cover, where the first day that the stamp is issued, they will put it on a piece of mail and then cancel it. So the cancellation date is the day the stamp was issued. So it is a used stamp, but it's collectible because it's from the first day the stamp was issued. But these are like mass produced because like everyone thinks like, oh, it's going to be a super collectible thing. So those are all worthless too. So you could get all of these stamps just like first day covers of those stamps. And then like all these different companies put them out and they put like different printouts and different illustrations on them. I've probably got 8 different copies of that video game stamp, and they'll have like a little write-up about like the history of video games. It's all just like, it's like boomer collectible garbage, but it's worthless. So it's kind of fun to collect. It's fun to collect stuff that's worthless.
I mean, that's why we got into games.
I mean, that's the trap. So you get into that, and then like once you're done collecting all the worthless stuff, you're like, yeah, but I kind of want something that's like good now. And then you're like, oh, what's up with these 1840s stamps? Ooh, these are kind of nice. What is this? $100,000? Ooh, I kind of like that.
Yeah, what a trap. Be careful not to fall into that one.
All right, Johnny, that's as much as I'm going to subject you to talking about stamps.
That's fine. We can talk about all the stamps. All right, Tyler. Let's go into I put this under a multiple header because you hated all of them. Except this first part you're going to like. I got toys / figures / statues. Basically, this is just decorations to me. This is like interior decor, kind of where this falls for me. And so and there's some other stuff that lives outside of this, but I'm going to say, I think if you're talking about video game toys and you're trying to link toys back to video games, I think the most interesting thing, though not specifically a video game thing, is to go back to Gunpei Yokoi, who is known as, he's in Japan, he's called like the god of video games. He basically was the one who was working for Nintendo, and he's the one who kind of found Nintendo's way into toys, mechanical toys, and then eventually video games. Without him, Nintendo does not become the Nintendo we know. He worked with Shigeru Miyamoto on Donkey Kong, the arcade version, and the development, and talked to him about the theory and the Minecraft of how games should be played, because he witnessed some guy on his calculator pressing the buttons to like play a little game. And that's, he creates the Game & Watch. He actually left Nintendo and created the Wonder Swan. He's a big deal.
I think he created the D-pad.
Yeah.
It's like
He's super important is what I'm getting at. Lots of people will tell you about Miyamoto all day long, but I don't hear Gunpei Yokoi, and I'm probably still butchering his name with my fat white tongue. But so apologies.
I mean, I'm not, he doesn't get the Shigeru Miyamoto due, but I'm pretty sure I think Gunpei Yokoi gets his due. I think people,
you think he gets his due? I don't.
One of the most important video game guys.
I don't think he gets enough due. Like maybe in other circles, but like I don't hear his name enough in America for all of the things he did, right? Anyways, can't say enough. But the first toy that he made, so the story behind this is 1966. Nintendo's making cards and stuff. He's working in the factory. He's just on the floor. He's a guy who should be designing and working on cards. Anyways, he gets found by his boss because he's been messing around, and he made this toy. And he actually thinks he's going to get fired for making this toy, but his boss actually thought it was great and that he thought it was very innovative. And they're like, oh, okay. And Nintendo, even though they're making cards, they've attempted to make toys before this, or, some kind of inroad into toys aside from just cards. His boss sees this and goes, this is it. This thing is awesome. We're going to make these for the holiday season. And this is called the Ultra Hand. Do you know what the Ultra Hand is, Tyler?
I absolutely know what the Ultra Hand is, Johnny. From $800 t-shirt video game WarioWare is when it was introduced to a lot of Gunpei Yokoi toys.
Yes. So it gets sprinkled. This Ultra Hand gets sprinkled into games, all like Nintendo games, Smash Brothers, trophies and stuff. Anyways, it's
Tears
like
of the Kingdom literally has an Ultra Hand.
Yeah. Like I said, it gets tossed in there. If you don't know what one looks like, go look it up. It's kind of an extendable hand, like a grabby hand, right? Would you?
Sure. It's got two handles on one end, and you press them together, and then this claw at the end extends forward and grabs something.
And grabs, yeah. It's grabby. My son has one. It's not an Ultra Hand, but he loves these toys. Like all kids loved these things. I had one as a kid too. Like, it's like, oh, this thing extends and grabs. It's great.
It's so stupid and simple, and it's just like, but it's a smash hit toy.
Yeah.
We're going to save the company.
If you didn't enjoy one in your childhood, you missed out because they were still awesome. Anyways, they make the Ultra Hand, and they charge $6 for them. They make 1.2 million of them. And they sell like gangbusters. It helps Nintendo get on the path. It gets Gunpei promoted to becoming the guy who goes on to do all the other wonderful things. Without the Ultra Hand, none of this stuff happens, basically. So, yeah, go buy yourself an Ultra Hand when you can find one. I did not check the Japanese price. Tyler, did you check the Japanese price?
I forgot to go to them.
Okay. The last closed one I saw in America was $700. But again, this is a Japanese toy and you're buying it on an American site. So that probably includes some sort of significant markup. So, but they made over 1 million of them. So it's not like, yes, they're disposable and they're toys and people throw away stuff a lot more. But I think with 1 million of them made, they should still be able to be findable if you really want one.
I've definitely seen them. I do have a save search for Nintendo toys on Yahoo. It's not a very specific save search. I just kind of browse some stuff sometimes, but I see them come up. I definitely see Custom Gunman, which is the cowboy where you shoot him with a light gun and he falls over. There's a bunch of accessories for old Nintendo light guns that come up a bunch too. This old Gunpei Yokoi stuff is super good. All the old Nintendo like toys, like the pre-Famicom stuff, I think is super cool. There are people who collect that stuff. I'm surprised it's not bigger, considering it kind of fits into this category of like, there's enough of this stuff out there. Like some of it is kind of rare, but like there's enough of it where like, I don't know, like people could start grading it and hyping it, but like there's enough of it where like it could become a cool thing to collect. And I just think it's such like a, oh, and also I got a couple of these things type thing in most people's collection.
Yeah, it's still in that same category of like extra decor. This category might as well have been called decor to me. Anyways, go find an Ultra Hand, but I want to just bring up one other one, which I think is fun because everyone has tried this stupid thing or seen some version of it. Tyler, are you familiar with the Love Tester?
I sure am.
Okay, so the Love Tester came out in 1969. All right, did it? We got the sex number on there, so perfect for the Love Tester. Anyways, what you do with this device is you form a circuit with someone you love. And I not in that way. Basically, there's two devices. You hold one, your partner holds one. You hold hands, thus completing the circuit. And then the meter will tell you how much love you have for each other. And that's what it does. So if you've ever seen that machine that says like, how sexy are you? Or how whatever. Or like, you know, how compatible are you? There's so many different versions of this games in like arcades and bars and just like all over. You know, you go and you touch basically two metal dials and complete the circuit and it does the thing. That's what the Love Tester is.
I'm pretty sure based on the stylings of most of those love testing machines, these existed before Gunpei Yokoi made a home version.
Sure. But this is a home one. But yeah. I'm not crediting him with that. I'm just saying, I think this is funny because this is like such a, like, and have a home one. Like if you're out somewhere, yeah, you're doing it but like this one, you needed to take it home and it is a novelty toy. I wonder if anyone ever took it seriously. Here's a fun fact. Did you know it was re-released in Japan in 2010?
The Love Tester?
Yes. And it was officially endorsed. It was officially endorsed by Nintendo as well.
I love that.
And they sold it for $55.
Should I get one? I mean, those must be pretty available, right?
Yeah, they're probably. And it is featured in WarioWare as Doodad, in case you don't know. And it's also shown as the prototype detector in Pikmin 2. So yeah, it's shown in lots of different instances, like all the Gunpei stuff is. So anyways, go check out the Love Tester.
WarioWare is so cool. I think it's so cool. Like, there must be so many people like me who are only introduced to Nintendo toys via WarioWare, and there's probably so many more people who don't even realize that all of those things in WarioWare are actual Nintendo products. Yeah, I love that. Like, like now that I've looked into this stuff more as an adult and like, oh, I'm familiar with like Nintendo's toy lines from the 70s, but like I also like knew all that stuff as a kid because of WarioWare. I just didn't even realize it.
So what I think is interesting is like one that it's just a love letter to Nintendo's history, like that I think that's lost. And I felt the same way about all the Smash Brothers trophies, especially in the GameCube version. It was just like there was just a giant Nintendo history lesson happening there if you were paying attention to it. And I always thought that was a fun aspect of those games that was often overlooked. So, anyways, go buy yourself some Gunpei stuff. And if you want like a love tester, you can get an original one. They go from anywhere from like $150 to, for original ones, $150 like $500 if you want a really nice one. So, anyways.
It says it's great at parties.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, where else would you bring this out? If you only had it for just you and your girlfriend, what like, or boyfriend, whatever, your partner, then that's really limited use. Oh, we tried it once. Nailed it. What do we do with it now?
Johnny, if I had this, I would exclusively use it with myself because I would have no one to use it with. I'm not going to use it with my mom. That would be weird.
You are married, Tyler.
Johnny, as a kid. When
oh.
you know what this reminds me? This isn't related at all.
This was not marketed to children, really. This was as a novelty toy.
This is an adult novelty. I mean, what kid is going to care about a love tester?
Yeah, not many. But, I love the idea of you using it with your mom, though.
It looks like a multimeter. It probably is a multimeter that has just like two probes coming out of it. It literally has a black and a red wire with metal probes at the end.
It is a multimeter, Tyler. Absolutely. It's all it is.
It's so, what is it, just like measuring resistance? This is so
yes.
stupid. It's awful. It doesn't. So you know how like the vintage love testers, they go like, oh, you're passionate, hot stuff, what a stud. Like those are the levels. The levels in the Nintendo love tester are 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. It's so boring.
Yeah, why does this have ohms on it? That's very weird. Anyways, I still think it's fun. So there are other toys, though, as I mentioned, Tyler, and you're probably familiar with a few of these because they're fun. I mentioned Nintendo tried toys before, but never really broke through until the Ultra Hand. They were doing fine with their Hanafuda cards and playing cards, but tactile toys, they had something pre-Gunpei, so pre-1966. The Rabbit Coaster, I believe that was 1964. Pretty hard to find that complete. But you've seen different versions of this, and there are, we say Rabbit Coaster, but they made many variations of this. And basically it's just like a small, like windy track with like 3 or 4 tracks on top where you put like a marble or bead and they roll down and you would see which one arrives at the bottom first.
It's like it's a marble racetrack with like 5 squiggly tracks in a row. You race 5 things at once.
Yep. And you just see which one wins. And again, pretty fun. I think kids love that kind of stuff, but I mean, limited appeal. I don't know why it didn't do more, why that didn't get them there, but didn't. And then there was Picture Cutter, which was exactly what it sounds like. They had these pre-designed images and you would cut them out, but there was also an electronic version of it. So there's other stuff too. You can go look into the whole history of pre-Gunpei stuff, but just to look at the Gunpei stuff, go look at Before Mario and like check out that website and just pile through all the cool stuff that Nintendo was trying to do before it was making the video games you know and love.
Yeah, I mean, I assume most people, I don't know if most people, but if you've ever looked into this, the beforemario.com blog is an insane resource. That guy posts multiple times a month of just like all the pre-Famicom Nintendo products. Like literally, he posted just the other week that he's talking about the first Nintendo product ever sold in Europe, and it's just like some almanac in Italy that Nintendo published for some reason. Like, where the hell are you going to get this information, let alone in English? And I think it's just the one guy who's just like going, it's Eric Voskuil. His blog is absolutely incredible. Like one of the essential video game resources. I mean, it's not really video games, but one of the essential collection resources anywhere. And he also has a book called Before Mario that highlights like the most important pre-Mario products. Also, you just buy that book. Like, that's a top Nintendo book that you should own. He is the guy, and it's got beautiful pictures and articles on everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, even if that book isn't current, like, buy it just to support this guy, because this is the type of people who deserve your
Johnny,
support.
if that book isn't current, it was released in 2014. It's about products from like the 60s. He's got them all. He didn't forget any.
But I mean, as he finds new stuff and like puts to his blog, like, these kind of research books always get revisions and stuff. What I'm telling you is it does not, if you're thinking, oh, it's old and it won't be current compared to his blog, I'm telling you that doesn't matter, Tyler. Why are you fighting me? I'm telling people, don't think like that. Give this man your money. He deserves it.
Yeah. So actually it is funny because his blog post from 5 days ago is regarding a Nintendo Time Bomb toy. It's literally a small plastic bomb that was undiscovered until 2021. So there are things that aren't in the book. And he just talks about how he found one for sale. And now he got his own. So one sold on Yahoo Auctions for a cool $2,000, but then he found one for just $450. Buy it now.
Oh, good on him for getting a deal.
Hell yeah. All right. Johnny, for the toys, it's going to be all the Nintendo early stuff. That stuff is so good.
That's the stuff. I'm going to run through the stupid stuff real quick. Okay.
Great.
All right. Action figures. There are lots of these World of Nintendo toys. They go various amounts and various collectabilities. Buy them at your own risk. I don't think they're particularly collectible. Will people be collecting them? Are there varying rarities? Sure, but I don't really consider this a collectible. I consider them decor only. If you like them, that's great. Go ahead. Amiibos, I consider closer to video games because they have content in them, but I also put them in the action figure range. The most expensive ones you're going to find are the Japanese ones. There's also some Amiibo cards, which get expensive, but I don't put those in exactly the same category. But Japanese exclusives, the Monster Hunter ones and the Hako Boy Obi one, which came packaged with the game. Those ones are always kind of expensive. Like the Hako Boy one, it's always like $400. The Monster Hunter ones, those are $100 to $200 each figure. Some came exclusively with games. Some are only in Japan. Some came out here. It's kind of a mess. The only US one, which like really is consistently farming a big chunk of money, is the Mega Yarn Yoshi, which was Toys R Us exclusive. So $100 to $200 on that. Of course, there's other ones, but Amiibos, like, they had their time in the sun where they got super hot and like, oh, you can never find this one. And it went up to $100, but Nintendo has been pretty good about re-releasing the stuff, even exclusives. They basically became like timed exclusives. So we've seen a lot of re-releases. Will people care about the original packaging and the first prints and all that? Time will tell, but I don't know.
Time will tell, but also no.
Yeah. Also, if you don't care and you just want the cool figures, you can buy the Japanese ones. They're usually more expensive. But Amiibos did do this interesting thing because there became this point, and I forget where it was. I'm sure you remember, Tyler. Remember, Amiibos had officially like crashed. It was like everyone had fatigued on Amiibos and they were going to the bottom, and everyone was like kind of getting out of them, and they have crept back. And now like there used to be lots of them for like all the Amiibos, like 80 Amiibos, couple $100. Now these prices are trending towards like $1,000 for large lots of Amiibos. So Amiibos did find a way to hold value and to climb, actually, even opened in large lots, which I think is an interesting nod to look at Amiibos if you care.
Tyler, I have no idea what the long-term collectability of Amiibos is. I mean, they are selling so many of these that like this is going to be populating Goodwill shelves in 10, 20 years, I feel like.
They should already be populating Goodwill shelves. They've already gone through that version, and somehow they've come out the other end, I think.
All right. I mean, we have to see like if a generation who had no like connection to the Wii U and Switch, assuming Switch 2 doesn't use Amiibos, I don't know, are going to care about this garbage. I mean, they're cool Nintendo statues. It's fine. I mean, Amiibos are obviously great, It's just like, are there going to be too many of them for anyone to like really care from a value perspective in 20 years?
Yeah. Well, and the release cycle of amiibos used to be much more fierce. They were like releasing all the time. And now it's like a trickle out of a couple here and there. So it's not on that same schedule it was there for a while when the fatigue happened. Anyways, moving away from that. So, hey, Tyler, there's a bunch of Legos, and Tyler says, do not spec on these. Okay, don't buy a Nest question block, or don't buy the Nest system.
You can speculate on Legos. I just don't think that makes it a super interesting collectible if it's just something that people are speculating on that they don't really care about.
Right.
That just turns it into the MetaZoo. Like, MetaZoo is not like an interesting collectible. MetaZoo was just like a stupid crypto thing that came out.
Actually, it's not. Did you know that it completely crashed and all of it went to zero?
Yeah.
And my buddy who owns a shop literally threw boxes of it away. Literally threw it in the trash can. So, anyways, Lego speculation and investing is its own thing. And that doesn't exist within the, like, I think the people who are specking on this stuff aren't necessarily video game collectors. I think they're just Lego investors. So I don't really count those as video game collectors. That's kind of my point there. You can go buy these. These are cool things. Like, if you like Lego, then go buy them. But if you're counting on it to be worth more money than just like, hey, Legos usually retain some amount of value, then, that doesn't make it a collectible necessarily. That just makes it like a thing of interest, I guess. Slightly collectible, minor collectability. So that will exist, but I don't think there's like, big time collectibles. What I am going to say might be interesting is they have in this year, 2024, we have 2 interesting Legos coming out. We've got the Animal Crossing sets coming out, and these come with minifigures. And minifigures, yes, lots of Lego is collectible, but minifigures are always kind of collectible. People go mad for minifigures, and people love Animal Crossing. So there's going to be this crossover there, and I'm wondering how Animal Crossing is going to do, and then or if it's just going to be not enough people care, because there was my brain just totally lost the game. Overwatch. They had Overwatch Legos, and those did not do well on the shelves, have done a lot better on the secondary market, but when they came out, people just did not give a shit about them. There was an initial hype and then just died on the shelves. Lots of sets withered. But another cool thing that's coming out is the Zelda Deku Tree, and that's going to be kind of a big set. I haven't seen.
We're talking about the top collectibles in different categories. You can't talk about sets that aren't out yet.
No. We're not talking. I'm telling you where, like, if there's going to be something interesting, if there's minifigures in it, and these are going to be the first, like, Zelda minifigures, so that might be a thing of interest.
It's the first Lego Zelda set, period, right?
Right. Yes, that is correct.
Oh, you gotta... Okay. Guys, we're gonna spec on this.
Okay.
You gotta put some spec on it.
People collect Legos. Legos are a big collectible.
Oh, yeah,
I'm trying to get through it quick.
I think the Reserved Investments talks about Lego. Rudy talks
he
about
does.
Legos. Okay,
hey, you want to know how collectible it is? Price Charting has a Lego guide now. Just saying.
JJ, what are we doing? Fix video games. What we do with that? Why do I gotta look through like Pokemon card listings when I look up a Pokemon game? I look for like Pokemon Emerald. It's like you meant the Pokemon Emerald trading card set, right? Stop it. I'd make a different website. Your video game tracking website. Who's using you? Look at Pokemon card price. There must be so many resources for Pokemon card prices. All right.
Board games, Tyler. Again, these are just, I don't think people care about these games. They're just a core. There's all the old Milton Bradley, early arcade, Donkey Kongs, Zaxxon. All these games are out there, just like early arcade games. And then you have like these boutique companies that make games based on video game properties like Dark Souls and stuff. Like, these aren't necessarily video game collectors though. So these are like this board game people stuff. I don't think it represents video games, but I don't think it's necessarily for video game people to go out and try and collect unless you just love that franchise. So I struggle with how to talk about this as a collectible within regards to video games, but just know that there's a lot of different board games out there. If it's a big media property, they just will make a board game about anything they can get their hands on that has an IP.
I do want to bring up that those Milton Bradley arcade, those were so popular in the 80s and 90s that they are just so cheap, even like complete and in decent condition. Like Donkey Kong, you would think would be like, oh, that's like a huge Nintendo property. 1982, like the peak of Donkey Kong popularity. You can go and get it for like $40 on eBay.
Yep.
And you brought up Zaxxon. Zaxxon's like $10. Like complete the thing. Because like who cares about Zaxxon?
Well, I wanted to bring up Donkey Kong and then go completely the opposite and talk about something that no one cares about.
What's
like,
I'm
just
looking
to
up
show the
Zelda
range.
right now because that one is one that has value.
Well, Zelda anything is just Zelda.
I mean, yeah, it's got some fun art too. Yeah, that one's more like $200 to $400.
So, there's also those like paper pinball games and stuff for Mario. There's lots of things that fall under board games that are Nintendo based that you could go collect if you want to, but there's nothing that's like really ultra collectible there. I think if you're picking out one, maybe Zelda, just because it's Zelda.
I think Zelda is close. I mean, I think Zelda's probably the top in terms of what anyone would care about in terms of board games. Even like Super Mario Brothers looks like it's closer to $100. So like Zelda's the only one people really care about.
I mean, and aside from that, like some of the boutique games, they're going to be new, but they could still be $300 just because that's just the nature of board games now.
These stupid Milton Bradley games have like 20 cardboard tokens and a board. And they're like, oh, there's the game. By the way, the guy who made the rules, he did it in like an afternoon. He's just like, how do I make a game about this? Okay, let's do that.
You ever played Chutes and Ladders? Here it is with Mario on it. Here's a boomer collectible for you. Hot Wheels. Super collectible item, right? People have big collections of Hot Wheels.
Yeah, man, we're really getting into the weeds. Okay.
No, I don't think Hot Wheels is in the weeds. That's like a very known collectible. You disagree?
My standards for this episode, just to keep our listeners up to date here, I was going to go to the Wikipedia list of collectibles, and if it was on there, it counts. And do you know what wasn't on there?
I don't know.
Hot Wheels. What? Hot Wheels is not on there, Johnny.
Are you sure?
Hot Wheels is not on there.
Are toys on there?
Toy trains. We got Barbie dolls, Beanie Babies, bobbleheads, casino chips, collectible card games, Pez dispensers, toy soldiers, and toy trains. None of those are Hot Wheels.
Oh yeah, those all are super interesting. Yeah, those are definitely. Get out of here, Tyler. Jesus Christ.
Gift cards is on here. We could talk about gift cards. You want to talk about Roblox gift cards?
Oh my God.
Phone cards. Lots of Japanese collectible phone cards.
Can I just get through this?
All right.
All right. Jesus Christ. Tyler, what is wrong with you? You're a maniac. Anyways.
Cracker Jack prizes are on here, but not Wheels. San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Hot Wheels. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So nothing here, like as collectible as Hot Wheels are, and people who go nuts and have all these Hot Wheels stuff, there's a lot of different Mario Hot Wheels that have come and gone over the time, but nothing has really reached that kind of collectability. I want to talk about just 3 because I think it's kind of funny. There is San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, 2 years where there was Comic-Con exclusives that I saw, and that's 2019 and 2022. These are both Mario Karts cars, and there was a gold and a silver Mario in 2019. You didn't know which one you got. The Mario, and it's with a glider. That goes for around $200 for the silver one. The gold one I've seen fetch for up to $1,000. Those are a lot more rare. Don't see those on eBay listings very often, but you'll see the silver one pretty regularly. A super cheap one, though, is that 2022 Gold Peach. That thing is like $30. It's like a rose gold. You can find that all day long. Not real hard. $30 if you're interested in this thing. A thing I was kind of fascinated to find out exists, and I don't think this is very collectible, but your mileage may vary. Tyler, did you know that GameStop had an exclusive Hot Wheel?
So I didn't. Are you going to tell me that this is also Mario Kart?
Yes.
There's so many Mario Kart Hot Wheels. I'm surprised I've never seen anyone collect these.
Yeah, there's lots, and there's like a Rainbow Road track that you can go buy. That's actually kind of expensive.
They've got like blind boxes and like different series.
Yeah, so there's like multiple. So this one, the 2019 GameStop exclusive, it's Rosalina. So if you don't know who she is, she's from Mario Galaxy. And there's multiple versions of her. She has multiple carts that you can buy depending on the series. But this is the first series one. This is also from 2019. And she goes for over $100. It's crazy.
Weird.
Yeah.
I kind of like Hot Wheels. I guess I grew up with Hot Wheels. So I I'm not the biggest Mario Kart fan, but I guess these are kind of cool. These Hot Wheels Mario Kart crossover. I didn't realize how many of these there were.
Oh, there's so many. Yeah, my son has a bunch of them.
You know what? I don't think maybe that $1,000 Golden Mario is cool, but I don't know, a $30 Rose Gold Princess Peach exclusive. If I was like a Peach driver in in Mario Kart, which I am, of course. I'm not going to spend 30. I don't need that in my life, but that's all right. I'm kind of down with it.
All right. Well, we got you there. And then here's the category Tyler really hates, statues. Not statues, and then the category, it's like one below this. Anyways, so in statues, these are the things made of PVC, polystone, porcelain. Giant acrylic store displays, Tyler, are also statues. Does that do it for you? Did I get you there with store displays?
This doesn't
those giant
feel like
Marios?
a collecting category. This feels like if you collect
People
Star
go
Wars,
collect
you
those.
also collect Star Wars statues. If you collect video games, you can also collect video game statues. No one's like just a statue collector. It feels it's such a +1 category of.
But what about the giant acrylic Mario statues? Big video game collectors who also collect signage and stuff, which we didn't.
I mean,
put
that's like
in
a
here.
whole episode we could do on like advertisements and store displays and things like that.
I agree,
but we're
these
not the
are- but
people to
those
do
are
that episode
statues.
because we're not the collectors of these objects.
Yeah, but those are statues as well. Those giant acrylic stand-ups are statues. So, anyways, there's a lot of different stuff out there. If you're talking about your basic polystone stuff or PVC, like First Four Figures does a lot of these things. They're expensive statues that stay kind of expensive. If you want to go spend $300 or $500 or $1,000 to have a Castlevania statue or a Metroid statue or a Zelda statue, if you want Link in all three colors, being blue, red, and traditional green, you can go get those there. They're on eBay. They have a website. You can go look through everything they do. They produce new ones all the time. You want a life-size bust of Solid Snake, you can go get that there. This is just like, for me, again, not collectible. This is just decor that happens to be also expensive. There you go. And that's all I have to say about toys. And I'll leave it to you to close up on your least favorite thing in this category.
Johnny, we had to bring up Funko Pops under the toys category because you know what? They're starting Funko Pop grading, so I feel like there is at least one guy out there who is desperate to make the dying Funko Pop company a collectible. Is Funko Pop still dying? I don't know. I just remember that recent story about them having to dump excess product into a landfill that was very Atari-esque. So
can't wait to buy one.
I tried to figure out what the most expensive video game Funko Pops are, and about 6 seconds into this search, I'm like, I'm not, there's so many Funko Pops, and I am not part of this community at all, and none of the price guides, like, sort it in, and, like, you can't just sort Funko Pops by most expensive. I tried to figure it out, Johnny. We've got the Blockbuster Golden Master Chief Funko Pop, which for some reason sells for $800. Johnny, we have the Illidan San Diego Comic-Con 2013 exclusive World of Warcraft Funko Pop, $650, according to the price guide. I didn't actually look these up on eBay. And for some reason, the third most expensive video game Funko Pop I found was the 03 Disco Zombie, also San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, from Plants vs. Zombies for $420. So you got Halo, World of Warcraft, and Plants vs. Zombies. Funko Pop people, you are out of your mind. I don't know what is going. Wow, it's a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. What? Who cares? It's a convention that happens every year. They make a bunch of shit and release it one day every year. It's basically free comic book day. Like, why do people care about San Diego Comic-Con exclusives?
Because those are exclusives and they make it worth coming.
I feel like there must have been some point earlier in history where like they would only release something at San Diego Comic-Con and it was like kind of cool and it's like it was actually like this interesting thing, but now it's just like, come to San Diego Comic-Con where you could buy our exclusive bullshit. And now, like, if you're just releasing this stupid statue or whatever dumb shit you're releasing at San Diego Comic-Con, just to be a collectible that's only exciting because it was released at San Diego Comic-Con. I feel like it is just turned it into this stupid commodity at this point that like has lost all of its appeal to me. But I mean,
Tyler,
they're
don't
Funko
feel that
Pops,
way.
so when we're talking about Funko Pops, there's no appeal to me anyway.
Yeah. Don't love them. Yeah. What are we going to say? Hey, if you want to buy an expensive set of like 7 Pops, you can go buy the Resident Evil ones. Tyler, you see a running theme? People love Resident Evil.
I think you just love Resident Evil.
I don't. I just always check whatever collectible category it is. I'm always like, how did Resident Evil do? Because people always pay up for Resident Evil. Anyways.
I've got Johnny, speaking of vintage Resident Evil, I've got a Resident Evil vintage hoodie. It's got like a zombie cop on the back of it. Can I get like $300 for that, you think?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to put that on eBay.
You should.
All right. I looked up why do people care about SDCC exclusives on a search engine, and there's just a bunch of blog posts about how San Diego Comic-Con exclusives in general are just garbage collectibles.
No.
So there's people writing blogs here that understand. I guess there are people who actually go to Comic-Con who care about this stuff.
Because their Comic-Con experience becomes about waiting in lines for the lottery of these collectibles rather than experiencing everything that's there.
Exactly, because every company probably has their San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that you have to get. And as much as you could buy, it's all going to be worth more on eBay later. So you just got to make the whole convention about getting all that shit, right?
Yep.
So I used to go to PAX, and then once PAX pins came out, the entire PAX experience to me became getting all the pins. And like you had to stand in all the lines, so it became like a 2-day thing just to get all the pins before I had any time to do anything I wanted to do besides that. What a fucking waste of time. Fucking merch, ruining conventions.
Yep.
But hopefully Midwest Gaming Classic in April 5th through 7th, 2024 isn't going to have any of that nonsense. And there's not going to be Go Collect sponsorship, and I expect everything to be perfect, Johnny.
You think so?
I don't know. I've never been to Midwest Gaming Classic.
I don't know. Maybe you want to go and we'll see how it goes?
Let's go see how it is.
All right,
I'm excited.
I'll see you there. We might already have a hotel.
All right. We do have a hotel. I don't have a flight. You told me to keep telling me to book my flight. I really got to get on that.
You really do have to book your flight. I've already booked my flight.
Johnny, let's talk about a real, we're going back to real categories of collectibles. This is kind of the fakest real category, but I do admit there is genuine interest in collecting trading cards.
Oh.
Little bits of cardboard that tobacco companies tricked children into thinking were cool in the early 20th century have become
cigarettes.
a major collecting category. We like seeing things that we connect with on little pieces of cardboard. That is it's just a human thing at this point. We see Pikachu on a card and he's dressed like Mario, and it's like, oh my God, I need to spend $10,000 on this Pokemon.
Dressed like card. Van Gogh.
Sure. I don't think he's dressed like Van Gogh.
He is. He's got the hat.
Oh, okay. Van Gogh's hat. I guess kind of by default, Pokemon trading cards, Johnny, have transcended the realm of video games so thoroughly that before this episode, you thought that Pokemon trading cards came before the Pokemon video game.
I did. I really thought Pokemon cards were first, and then they made the video game for it.
So,
which makes me sound like I know an absolute fucking idiot, but I just missed Pokemon. I'm just like 3 years too old for Pokemon.
If you look at the prices of Pokemon cards versus sealed mint condition Pokemon video games, you would be forgiven for thinking that the video games are just an offshoot of the card game, because the top end Pokemon cards sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the top end video games sell for like $30,000 to $100,000 for like the best Pokemon stuff. What should be the absolute best Pokemon thing? The first thing I'm talking about, Pokemon Red and Blue, sealed mint condition copies. I'm talking about the misprint copy of Blue. So the first identifiable Pokemon variant for the US release is Pokemon Blue, and there's a misprint on the back of the box that says Pokemon Red instead of Pokemon Blue. A 9.4 A++ just sold this weekend for $31,000. And I realize, yes, okay, it's a video game for $31,000. That is a lot of money. Everyone and also everyone thinks Pokemon Red is better because they're fucking stupid and they like dinosaurs. But in my opinion, that misprint Blue is literally the best Pokemon thing you could own. It is the earliest identifiable variant of the most popular fucking thing on planet Earth. And like $30,000, that's like nothing in the Pokemon trading card game. Like fucking, you can't even get a first edition Charizard for $30,000. You want a mint condition Charizard. So Johnny, just to pick out a few top end Pokemon things, you've got the Pikachu Illustrator, which doesn't make sense as the number one top thing, but we've all decided it is for some reason. It's an art contest. There was an art contest in like Korokoro magazine, and if you won the art contest, you got this Pikachu Illustrator card. They think there's like 41 of them, something like that. Mint condition one sold for like $5 million to Logan Paul. Really,
doesn't he wear it around his neck? Doesn't he have? Like
he either wears this or a Charizard. I don't remember. Like he in like his boxing matches, he has like a gold chain with the card around it. It's, excellent. Excellent. Also, I just gonna say it. I don't watch a lot of WWE. I fucking love Logan Paul in the WWE, Johnny.
Okay.
Perfect heel. I genuinely hate the guy, which makes him the perfect bad guy wrestler, because every other bad guy, you're like, fuck yeah, I love that bad guy. But you look at Logan Paul and you're like, there's no way on fucking earth that I will love this guy. And that is real entertainment to me.
Logan Paul's got you. He's got you by the short hairs.
Excellent.
You love him.
No one's going to look at like a bad guy. Maybe it's easy. It's kind of easy to hate CM Punk now too, but I don't know. No one's going to look at a bad guy, Seth Rollins, and be like, oh, I really hate Seth Rollins. No, because he's a fucking amazing wrestler.
But Logan Paul, yeah, we all hate him. So that's cool.
And he's genuinely athletic and has a lot of charisma, and in like a bad way. All right, yeah, Johnny, there's before the Pokemon trading card game, there were the Top Sun. What are these? I'm not a Pokemon guy. What are the Top Sun Pokemon trading cards? Were these the vending machine cards that came out before the trading card game? These are the card-ass cards.
I love that you're asking me this like I would know.
So in September 1996, there was a series of vending machine cards. These came before the trading card game. They look like absolute garbage, but it's basically just a card with the picture of a Pokemon on it, and the no number blue back Charizard. I'm guessing whatever that means is the top card in this Top Sun set. Sold for $500,000 in like the past couple of years. $500,000. We're talking about, this isn't the Pokemon trading card game. This is just a Pokemon card of what people have collectively decided is the best Pokemon for some reason, Charizard. $500,000. Johnny, there's never been a Pokemon video game, sealed, mint condition, rare as shit, whatever, that is sold for anywhere near that. How crazy is that? It's not even the Pokemon trading card game. That is how far trading cards are ahead of video games as a collectible in terms of like what people think is important. I don't understand this.
So far ahead.
You see these random ass, I mean, I realize this isn't a random ass Pokemon card, but like these Pokemon cards selling for $500,000, and you could go on Heritage Auctions right now and buy a 9.4 A++ Pokemon Blue misprint for $30,000. Like, why are the people buying these cards not just being like, oh yeah, for an extra $30,000 on top of my Charizard purchase, let me go pick up like a mint condition Pokemon Blue misprint. It just seems, I don't know. Because you look at all these sales, like you look at all these big things selling in Heritage Auction, it's like, oh, it's the Mario and the Zelda and everything is like, the stuff that sells for the tens of thousands of dollars is all like the big video game stuff. But then these Pokemon cards can go even further beyond that. And I don't know why the Pokemon people don't go and pick up the video games, is I guess what I'm saying. If you're like a high-end collector with a $3 million Pokemon card collection, tell me why don't you have more video games? That's the real thing. Pokemon is not a trading card game. It's a video game, guys. Come on.
Nope. So just a trading card game.
So here's
no
the
one
interesting
plays.
thing beyond that. When you take Pokemon out, Pokemon is such an exception to so many things in video games. When you take that out, what is the best video game trading card, Johnny?
It's a Mario Elephant from the Mario Wonder cards.
But
Not
like,
even close.
For real? Is that
For real. That's
that
it.
like it?
That's it. That's the thing.
How did this
It is
happen?
the thing. It's the thing. It's $700 all day still. I was checking in our elephant in the room check. Still $700. And that's it. But before this, Tyler, I will say there was something before this. That was the thing. And that was the Nintendo Power Cards, because those always sold in large groups. But I struggle to count those because they were just in Nintendo Power and people punched them out, but people still buy full sets of those cards.
But like you get a full set of those cards for less than the Elephant Mario.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have like the Topps Wax Packs cards, which a box will sell for like $200, $250, but you're still looking what, $4 or $5 a pack on these, to maybe $7 tops. Not a whole lot. And then if we depending on how you count these, the king of value used to belong really over in Animal Crossing cards. The e-reader cards, you remember these, Tyler?
Oh, I love them. I was into them. I was really into e-reader.
We've talked about these. We've
Yeah.
talked about going to Japan and get the Japanese versions and how there's differences there. But e-reader cards, like they are always like $5 each, like minimum. If you buy a lot, like if you're gonna try and buy like 100 cards, like a stack of 100 or sometimes even 40, you're just looking at a couple $100 for these cards. You're just gonna spend, big money on these cards. And if you try to buy them individually, then you're looking more in the like $5 to $10, $20 range, depending on the card. The more desirable it is, obviously, the higher the value. And I don't understand what determines the value of each one. I don't know if there is a rarity associated with these or not. There are other e-reader cards, of course. You can get the Mario cards. There's the Pokemon cards as well, and these all hold some value too. But the Animal Crossing ones are really it. And then even the new Animal Crossing Amiibo cards hold a ton of value. People love to buy sealed packs of those. There's the crossover pack with Hello Kitty, the Sanrio pack. So you can buy those. That's not very expensive, but yeah, what it has become though, if we're talking about one single card, all of this to say, all these have some value as like a collection of cards. But if we're talking about who's the Charizard here, it's fucking Elephant Mario.
That's so fucking stupid. It's so stupid.
Is it stupid, but does it make you want to buy Elephant Mario more?
No. It does.
Are you sure?
I would, if you're telling me to buy something here, I'll buy a Donkey Kong booster box, 36 Donkey Kong packs. I think those are great. And I mean, that is like 100% junk wax, actual garbage. Like this is the kind of overstock stuff that they couldn't sell that has been sitting around in warehouses for years. But Topps Donkey Kong it's the first Topps video game set, and it's the first Nintendo trading cards, like video game trading cards. And it came out like a year after Donkey Kong. One of the most important games of all time. The cards themselves are garbage. They're like stickers and these little like scratch off games. Like it'll show you a level of Donkey Kong with a bunch of little spaces to scratch off. And you have to like, there's a game you have to like scratch off and make it to the top without like getting hit by a barrel or something. Terrible cards. But sure, because they're so cheap, it's like $300 for a sealed box, which isn't that cheap, but for how maybe sort of historically interesting it is compared to fucking Elephant Mario, I will absolutely take the Donkey Kong trading cards over Elephant Mario for half the price.
Elephant Mario's the right answer.
All right. Yep. Elephant Mario sucks. Elephant Mario is an ugly, unappealing character. It's like, and even Cat Mario is, I don't think Cat Mario is super appealing, but if you tell me, who would think that a Cat Mario trading card is like the best thing? Like now that we are completely out, like no one thinks about Super Mario 3D World anymore. When people stop really thinking about Super Mario Wonder, are people going to remember Elephant Mario as like an exciting Mario power-up?
I'm just saying that I think the Elephant Mario Kart has been going up.
It's been a little bit steady, I think. I think it had a little dip and now it's back up to like 600-700, yeah. Maybe someone's trying to buy them all. They're like 1,000. I could do that. Let me get all of them.
Yeah.
That's only $1 million out there. That's not even.
I'm telling you, like people have been buying them out.
We will continue to check on this really dumb thing.
Yep. It'll be the elephant in the room check. We'll keep doing it.
Keep buying those packs. I mean, maybe we haven't found them all. I mean, there's so many sealed packs on eBay that we probably still have some more to find, right?
Right. You should buy those sealed packs.
I hate it.
Hey, when we go to Midwest Gaming Classic, if we see a pack live and it's reasonable, we'll buy it and we'll crack it live. Me and you, yeah?
All right.
Are you in?
I'm in. That's so stupid. Excellent. What if there's a way to search the packs? What if they can like weigh it to find like the holographic thing?
Not enough of those packs probably got in most people's hands to know that.
All right.
Can't wait. I hope someone has one there.
I don't know anything about those cards other than Elephant Mario. Are they good cards? Am I going to be excited to have these? I'm just going to let you have them. I don't need more trading cards in my life. I hate cards.
We're going to do this.
All right, Johnny, there is an actual collectible card here, and we're going back to the early history of Nintendo. The 19th century history of Nintendo even. Original Nintendo Hanafuda cards. So this is a fun fact like that. Did you know that Super Mario Brothers 2 was actually Doki Doki Panic in Japan?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, did you know that Nintendo made playing cards before they made toys and video games?
I sure did, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you can get some original Nintendo Hanafuda cards.
Oh.
And I think, just like Nintendo toys, I think these are super cool. And they are fun to own. The problem is, I really like owning like the best possible thing. When like I try to just find like, all right, I don't want to buy multiple copies of something. Let me just get like the best thing and get it over with. Like regardless of condition, I just want the best thing. So in my mind, I'm really checking the best possible box. Since they've been making cards since like 1889, if I got that date right, like I'm not going to be able to find a deck of Nintendo cards from 1889. So, and there's only so many that come up. They made so many cards, but when you look, you're going to find, and you're looking for like the old sets, you're basically going to be dealing with whatever is currently available. And it is, if you don't know what you're looking at, it's going to be really hard to decide if that's something you want to buy and what to pay for it. But what you can look for if you do want some really early Nintendo Hanafuda cards is you probably want something that's pre-World War II, because that's kind of like one of the eras of the Nintendo trading cards, like pre-1939, before the war. A lot of those sets come in like wooden boxes. They have kind of like rough edges. They look kind of, I don't want to say handmade. I don't know if they were handmade, but they'll look a little bit rough. They're usually, they're 100-year-old playing cards, so that they're only in so good of shape. I guess to identify them, the best way I found is that Nintendo is 3 kanji characters, and on the earliest, or I guess the pre-war era of Nintendo Hanafuda cards, the kanji characters are backwards. They're written right to left instead of left to right. So that's a way to identify earlier sets. But really, the problem with this, it's not really a problem, but this isn't the kind of thing where you just like go on Yahoo Auctions and you're like, let me just go get some like 1930s Nintendo Hanafuda cards. This is like something that you'd really have to look into and understand to kind of buy the right thing, I think. I think it would be easy to buy the wrong thing. You can't just punch in Nintendo Hanafuda, sort by highest price, and get something cool.
That's not the way we can do it?
I don't think so. Because that's what I tried to do. And then, so when I first started looking into this, that's what I did. That's exactly what I did. And there was only one like wooden box. I don't know if it was pre-war or not. Early set of Hanafuda cards. And I could tell it was something cool, but I had no idea how cool it was going for some hundreds or thousands of dollars. And it was like, wow, that looks really interesting. And I have no idea if I should be paying that because I don't really know what it is. Definitely something I don't know if before Mario goes into this, I imagine he does, but we need like, I want to buy a book that really goes over the history of Nintendo Hanafuda before I buy something stupid. What you can get that is more common than like those pre-war boxes in the wooden sets. They make the Daitorio Nintendo sets. These are big cardboard long boxes that have Napoleon's face on them, and those are going to be more common than the super old cards. I think they're called like the presidential sets sometimes. There is a rumor, I guess, that Nintendo might have made these and called them this because they thought that Napoleon was the president of France at some point, which is very funny. But Napoleon is definitely a big motif you find on the Nintendo Hanafuda cards. Even up to this day, they make cards with Nintendo or with Napoleon on them.
That's weird.
Yeah. And if you find anything in like a plastic slide box, that is either a modern release or just a not very desirable release. So all that, like they still make like promotional Hanafuda stuff. You'll find like Hanafuda Mario cards. If it comes in a plastic box, it's not the most collectible thing in the world. But also you can get them for like $20 if you just want some Hanafuda cards because they're fun to play with.
Yeah. And as part of the Nintendo Club, there was a version of the cards that you could get specifically there. So from the Nintendo Club. So look for
if
those
someone
if you
has
want
some
something.
really early cool Nintendo Hanafuda cards, you just reach out to me and you could probably sell me them because I want some of these. I think they're cool.
You did it, Tower. You've successfully reached out to the people.
Oh man, how long has this episode been going on for? Oh, 3 hours. Okay.
This, I blame you. This is 100% your fault.
Johnny, there are two more collecting categories.
Oh
that
my God,
Wikipedia
how?
considers collecting categories. Cereal. Let's
Cereal.
talk about cereal for a second, Johnny.
All right, let's do it. Hold on. If there was one episode Stefan should have been on.
You know what? We didn't abandon him. He abandoned us, Johnny.
Yeah, I'm just saying. The one where because he's always like, well, I don't really do this anymore. This would have been right in his wheelhouse, all this stupid shit. Anyways, go on.
There is one collectible cereal.
Oh, yeah?
It is the Nintendo cereal system. You can debate me on that. If I forgot something, but it's the Nintendo cereal system. I would say it's even maybe an iconic Nintendo collectible.
It is.
For whatever reason, like there is no other category, like even Pokemon. Pokemon had its own cereal. I would not like see that in someone's Pokemon collection and be like, oh, fuck yeah, you got the Pokemon cereal. Like, no. But you have a Nintendo cereal system. It's kind of like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, you got a Nintendo cereal system. For some reason, I think that's cool.
You did it. You did the thing.
So I used to think there were two variants of Nintendo cereal system. I thought there was the holographic one and the non-holographic one. There are 8 variants of the Nintendo cereal system.
Yeah.
You can buy this 8 times. And please just buy the box. Don't buy the cereal in it. That's weird and gross. But
And you probably have to pay more for that.
they're all perfect because they all have Mario and Zelda on them, which are the 2 characters you want on your Nintendo thing. Because I believe they came with like 2 half-sized bags of cereal, right? It wasn't one big bag of cereal. You got 2 little bags. So there are 3 variants that have... It's all hand-drawn art, but there are 3 that are clearly Mario 1 and Zelda 1. And then there are 4 that are clearly Mario 2 and Zelda 2. And then there's 1 that's like a holographic Mario and a holographic Zelda, which I guess is the one you want, because that's like kind of the shiny one. But I don't know. I would take any of them. I think they're all cool.
And I just want to throw out, so we said there's 8 different versions, but there are variants within each of these different offers and things that happen on these boxes. So within the 8 overall different arts, there are variants of those boxes that art is on.
Sure, I'm just talking about major art variants on the front is totally different.
Someone's like, oh yeah, you think there's only 8? Wait until I tell you. It's like, hold on, guys. We know there's the shirt offer and the free power set offer. Like, yeah, we know.
So,
Anyways.
Johnny, This has always been something I know people have collected. Like, since I started collecting video games, I've known about people collecting Nintendo Serial System boxes. And the concept of anyone saving a box of cereal is so insane. And I know there are people who do it, especially for anything that seems like it might be interesting, but it is so out of control insane to save a box of cereal that you would think that these just don't exist and that you can't get them. And they are all over eBay, and they still, quote unquote, only sell for $200 to $300, which is kind of the price I always remember them being at. Which, you know what? If you really want one, that doesn't feel too bad. Like, if I spent $250 and I really needed a Nintendo Serial System, I wouldn't feel bad about it.
No.
No? Do you have one, Johnny? I don't have one.
No, I don't. I don't, because was always too much to pay for just a box of cereal.
I don't think it's that. Who saved a box of cereal for 40 years? That's crazy. That is psychotic behavior. For any of these to exist is insane.
Remember, also don't collect food was part of our thing.
I think the empty box is fine. With the sealed box, forget that's ridiculous.
But my brain has never been like, oh, I should, like, for whatever reason with the cereal box. And I love cereal. You know, I love cereal more than most things. And it's just something I never have I looked at before and went, yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, 100%. Especially the ones that come with the little pinballs in them. Love those.
Yeah, there's
those are rare.
A pinball game. I guess it's not really pinball. It's like one of those little, like, shoot a ball up and try to catch it in a cup kind of thing.
Yep, and those things are collectible in their own right, just for those.
I saw there was one Nintendo cereal box that sold with the pinball and is sold for less than $300, and then people on eBay are like trying to get $1,000 for just a little pinball thing. It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
I mean, we see this a lot where people just like think the market is this thing, and so everyone adheres to that, and then when it actually goes to public auction, they just get shit on.
All right, Johnny, I got one more cereal that I think is really cool, and as I brought it up before, but it's Chex Quest, which is a free video game that came with Chex cereal based on Doom. So it is a Doom WAD, which is basically a Doom mod. So it's got all Chex. You got like a Chex related hero, and a Zorcher is your gun, and it's less violent than Doom. And if I remember correctly, there are only 3 levels, maybe 4 levels. Very short game, but if you got a free Doom game in a cereal box, of course you never forgot that as an adult. And the only reason I'm not going to put this as a game that matters is going into the future, despite its connections to Doom, its tentative connections to Doom, I imagine anyone who didn't grow up with Doom, or especially with Chex Quest, is just not going to care about this. But it is very hard to find an original box of Chex that came with Chex Quest. The game itself is not that rare. You can get original copies of Chex Quest for like $20. But you basically have to be combing through every single box of rice Chex and corn Chex until you find it. And there are multiple variants. There's a variant that shows a blank disc on the front. It's just like the shiny side of a CD. And then there's a variant that shows the actual Chex Quest CD on the front. I think this is great, Johnny. I searched so long to find my copy of Chex Quest. And whenever I was definitely under $100, whatever I paid for it. I think I paid closer to $50. I would have paid anything for it. But I don't think enough people care. This is just something you could look for if you want to dig through hundreds and hundreds of listings of Chex cereal for months.
I mean, sounds like a bad move to me, because you could have just got that one from Limited Run.
That's so stupid. No. And now you're also going to have to dig through those listings as well. Yes.
Yeah. Enjoy. Enjoy more than you enjoy Chex, because as I've said before, who the hell thought to put video, like Chex was like, we have to do something to bring the kids to us. Kids don't want to eat this garbage. It tastes like shit. Only their parents can make them eat this. No kid is choosing Chex. And don't me with the, actually, I love Chex.
If you're walking through the cereal aisle as a kid and there's a cereal box that says, hey kid, free video game inside, you're going to be like, oh, I really feel like Chex this month.
I imagine I just imagine the conversation you had to have with your mom. I think I want checks. Listen, if we buy checks, you have to eat the whole thing. I will. I think you just want it for the game. No, I really like checks. I'm going to eat all of it. I'm going to watch you every morning. You're going to finish that bowl. Not one bite wasted. And you got to drink the milk. I will. I promise. And then just every morning, just like, God damn it. Worth it. Yeah. That's how I imagine that.
That is 100% what happened.
Yeah.
Johnny, there's a bunch of Nintendo stuff you could find on cereal boxes. I very briefly considered becoming a Nintendo cereal box collector for some reason. And then I decided it 100% isn't worth it. But just on like Frosted Mini Wheats, I was there's like Star Fox promos in there, there's Mario promos in there, and I bought a couple of those boxes. And like they're Nintendo, so like clearly the cereal box people know what they have. So those were like $40 each. And I very quickly decided spending $40 on a cereal box, even if it has a link to Nintendo, is just not worth it to me. The Nintendo cereal system, big exception. That's Nintendo's own thing. That's super cool.
And you can get that holographic shirt.
Holographic shirt?
Yeah.
Is that a thing with the Nintendo cereal system? I don't know the Nintendo cereal system lore, I guess.
Yeah. The Nintendo cereal system box, it has the holographic shirt.
What do you mean? What's the holographic shirt? I'm looking it up right now.
You don't know about the shirt?
Is this a real shirt? What is this?
Yes.
So it's the Nintendo cereal system. It's Nintendo cereal system on a shirt, and it's got the same hologram that's on the box of cereal.
Yeah.
Who would wear a cereal shirt? What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? This is the thing.
Johnny, this shirt is $1,500 on eBay.
Yeah, it sure is.
Unsold.
Yeah, it was, these things got expensive.
Well, we're talking about apparel. This is like apparently the most collectible apparel there is.
I know, but it was in cereal, so I had to wait. Anyways, this was a thing that Ralston did with their cereals, and there's like a Ghostbusters one too. They have like a bunch of these. But yeah, Nintendo cereal system with the foil box had the shirt. But yeah, check out the Ghostbusters one. It's got a really good one. There's like it's got the Ghostbusters on it, but the real Ghostbusters shirt box is cool. It's got like Slimer. There's one with the Ghostbusters themselves. Really cool stuff on the Ghostbusters boxes. Ghostbusters collectors also collect these fucking cereal boxes because they were that cool.
Oh, it's so fun. So when looking through like cereal, you shouldn't do this. Don't collect cereal boxes. But you could tell that like the cereal box hoarder people, they'll just like have tons of like the Lion King and Pocahontas stuff and Ghostbusters stuff. And they'll just be like, oh man, the big media properties are the ones we should save. So if you need like any kind of the Lion King cereal promo, they're all over eBay. But no one thought like, oh, Chex Quest is going to be a thing. So you got to hunt for that kind of stuff.
True. Yeah. Man, Ralston was doing so much stuff. Man, cereal box collecting is kind of weird because they did so many weird things. There's so many, you can go down so many avenues, just like the weird pack-ins they did. Like you can get ones with like there's one with a Batman bank on there. There's a Bill and Ted cereal that they did with like a Bill and Ted like cards. So it came with movie cards and a little telephone box.
What is a telephone box?
It was a box that used to stand on the street and you would like walk in. Bill and Ted flew around.
I call them booths. Like a telephone box. What are you talking about?
Yeah, booth. Sorry, telephone booth, cereal box. You're right. Anyways, there's all kinds of like Ralston was the king of these weird promos, and I like if you're gonna collect cereal, just go collect Ralston stuff because it's wild.
I mean, the stuff we wanted as kids is still the stuff we want as an adult. Like, you give me a 25-cent plastic piece of garbage, like, yeah, I want that. That's the cereal I want to eat, Dad.
That's the one with the Ninja Turtles where they've got the bowls on the box and stuff. So cool.
Hey, Johnny, you know what's not collectible in the fucking slightest? The stupid-ass Super Mario Odyssey amiibo cereal that all you stupid people went to Target and hoarded up, and you bought multiple copies of this stupid fucking Mario cereal, and now you can get a sealed case of 10 of these for like $100, which is basically what you probably paid for them anyway. What are we doing hoarding this amiibo cereal? What was everybody thinking? They were out of their minds. Everyone was buying this amiibo cereal. And they're like, I'm keeping a sealed box of amiibo cereal. This is the real deal. Everyone's going to need this amiibo cereal. I don't even remember what it was called. Is it called the amiibo cereal?
I think it's just called Super Mario. Maybe it's Super Mario Amiibo. I think it's just Super Mario cereal. Because they continued after the Amiibo box.
It is Super Mario cereal.
Yeah, because there's more Super Mario cereal that continued afterwards. But that box was special because it was the Amiibo box.
It sure is. It's the Amiibo box you need it for the Amiibo set. Like, if you have one of these and you're like an Amiibo collector, like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know if keeping the cereal inside sealed makes sense, but
no.
You know, yeah, if you bought one, I'm not mad at you for buying it. Like, sure, it's an Amiibo. But if you bought this to speculate on the cereal, then I'm mad at you. Because that's dumb as hell.
Fair enough.
It's just the thing where, like, once everybody knows something is going to be collectible and they all buy it, it's like, what's the point?
What's the point? To get those sweet, sweet values.
There is a non-Amiibo box of Super Mario cereal. And it actually has better box art, and I've never seen it, because who was buying the non-Amiibo box?
That came out after.
Yeah, I could tell, because the expiration date is a month after. It's in March 2019 instead of February 2019. Just want to make everybody who bought Super Mario cereal feel bad there. I'm judging how you collect. I'm sorry.
Don't feel bad, because if you got it for retail price and you're selling it for $20, you're making out.
Yeah.
That's like a 4x.
Except after exchange. Like storage and shipping, I'm sure shipping that costs like at least what, $10 these days if you want to do it right, especially between packaging and first priority mail.
You take the cereal out, you flatten the box, you ship it. Oh,
well, we're flattening the box now, so we're destroying the collectability.
Yeah, look, I'm going to tell you how it's being sold to you. I think as a cereal collector, you understand that that's what's going to happen.
I think if you're buying cereal from 2017 or whenever this thing came out, then people are just expecting it to be completely sealed.
Oh, maybe. I don't really know, because I would never buy cereal on the internet.
Yeah, I don't think none of the copies on eBay are open. None of the boxes on eBay are open. Everyone has sealed Super Mario cereal. Come on. No one wants the box. Actually, one guy did buy the box for only $15. Shout out to that guy who understands. The guy who bought the box didn't buy it to save $7. He bought it because he's like, oh, I don't want the cereal inside because that's weird and gross. I just want the box. So you know what? I'm proud of that guy for buying just the box. Johnny, I'm done talking about cereal. It's not a real collectible. What is wrong with you people? You know, we need to move past cereal as a society. It's a really unhealthy breakfast.
You shut your mouth. Stop telling the people not to enjoy themselves.
I mean, you can have a treat, but like eating cereal every day for breakfast is really unhealthy.
You are over there smoking and drinking, and you're going to lecture people about their health?
What am I smoking? I don't even drink that much.
I don't know. I was just saying words. I was trying to discredit you with untruths.
What are we at? What is it? We're coming up on 6 a.m. here.
We're at the end. We're at the end, Tyler. You've made it. The final lap, buddy. You can do it.
Johnny, what are the most collectible video game books?
There are video game books?
See, that's the problem. No. So I can think of expensive video game art books. Yes. I don't even know if they're still making them, but like Ballistic Publishing is one of these very high-end art book publishers. I'm sure there's many, many more like that. But that's not what interests me, so I don't know anything about it, and I wasn't about to go try to figure out what the most expensive video game book is.
Okay, can you tell me what books came out in the 1970s that might be worth more than...
Yeah, I can tell you what books came out in the early 1970s.
Let's do it.
I don't even know. What do you think? I couldn't find the first book about video games. I think that's something I should do more research into. But There is, so computer books and definitely video game books were not selling very well in the early 1970s because no one had a computer yet. So you wouldn't get like these huge best-selling books for a product that no one even knew how to use yet. But the first smash hit computer book also happened to be a video game book. And that is David All's 101 Basic Computer Games from 1973. Very popular and influential computer programming book. It was basically just believe it or not, 101 basic programs, the basic programming language that you would type into your computer. And, it would teach people how to program. And people love playing games, so it would give you a fun way to do it. The first edition sold 10,000 copies. Subsequent editions sold over 1 million. It was the first computer book to sell over 1 million copies. Also, David All is the publisher, the editor, creator, I don't know, of Creative Computing magazine, which I didn't even get a chance to hype up more. I love creative computing. In an era where computer periodicals were like really techie, nerdy, boring bullshit, it was the magazine that really focused on the fun side of computers, and it would have type-in programs, and it really geared more towards average people than a lot of computer magazines at the time. I think reading Creative Computing, by far the most fun magazine to read from like the 70s era of computing. My two favorite video game magazines would be Creative Computing, which very tangentially related to video games, more of a computer science magazine, and Next Generation. Love those magazines, Johnny, and no one cares. They're never going to be worth anything. So don't collect them.
Can I just say that this guy missed on his marketing? This guy's name is David All, and he didn't call his books David All Tells All about computers or anything like that.
You see, when you have a magazine called Creative Computing, I think you're a little bit more creative than that, Johnny. Not that 101 Basic Computer Games is a very creative title.
Creativity is overrated. What sticks in the brain and gets people to buy?
He literally wrote the first million-seller computer book about any computing topic ever.
Right place, right time.
So,
discredited.
Beyond just being like this super influential early book,
if it's not the name of his memoirs, I can't deal with him.
I don't think
I just want to be super reductive. Just sorry, David All. I jest. Please go on, Tyler.
So this book has type-in versions of some popular mainframe games, and I love seeking this stuff out because it has Hammurabi, which is sort of an evolution of the Sumerian game, which is a game that only Joe in our Discord will ever bring up in polite conversation. But the Sumerian game, it's a text-based strategy game. It's like a city management game, and it's kind of the first edutainment game, but it was like a 1960s mainframe game. So like you can't buy that, believe it or not. But there's this type-in version of it, so you could feel like, all right, if I have this book, like I have some connection to the Sumerian game. And I love that stuff because I want to own stuff. I'm a collector, Johnny, and I can't own the ethereal concept of the Nimitron, a machine that probably no longer exists, but I can own the stupid token. I can own the Nimchamp token. So I just like having something that relates to that history. Another game in here is Super Star Trek. In the mid-1970s, one of the most popular mainframe computer games was Star Trek or Super Star Trek, which was like a grid-based strategy, like space simulation game, basically. And there's a type-in version of it here. I really love this book. There is a problem in terms of collecting. This book is obviously very common, being the first very, very popular computer book. Like $40. All of the copies you'll find are the third print. You might find the second print, which is a lot rarer, for like $150, $200 for that. And I have never seen a first print actually for sale. Theoretically sold 10,000 copies. Who knows how many of those exist now? Inside the on like the the page with all the copyright bullshit, it will say first, second, or third print on it very, very clearly. So you'll know if you find a first print. If someone has a first print, go ahead and send it to me. I really like this book, Johnny.
I'm glad you like it. Do you know why it's like the Sumerian comes after that? Like that's all tied together because of the order and time in which the Sumerians and the Babylonians and Hammurabi existed.
What are you talking about? I didn't learn anything from the Sumerian game, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, the Sumerians were an ancient people. You know, do you know who the Sumerians are? Like, I'm assuming you know that, right?
Oh, they're from Sumer.
Cool. Anyways, so you know who Hammurabi was?
He's
famous for his code.
Some messed up laws.
Hammurabi's code, eye for an eye, all that. Babylon.
Probably in Mesopotamia, because we're talking about early civilizations.
Yeah. Anyways, Tigris, Euphrates, all that going on. Anyways, so I'm trying to remember this. Is it the Elamites? So the Elamites were taking over, and so were the Amorites. They were taking over the Sumerian people. They were overrunning the Tigris and Euphrates area. And eventually the Elamites took over the Amorites and then thus became the Babylonians. And you can let me know if I'm right about that. But yeah, I believe that's what happened. And so then Hammurabi came right after the Sumerians because they absorbed the Sumerian people and overtook them and then became the Babylonians.
Pretty cool. That doesn't happen in the game, but
all right. Yeah. So I'm just saying, if you're like, hey, this Hammurabi comes after Sumerian game, it's like, well, yeah, that makes sense. That's the correct ordering. That was all.
I'm trying to find if Hammurabi has anything to do with the Sumerian game, but it doesn't. I think that this is just an evolution of the Sumerian game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It makes sense if that's the order.
I mean, yeah.
Right? I just think that's a nice technicality that's the way it runs.
So, the Sumerian game, the original source code is lost. So all we've got is the code to Hammurabi, which based on what I've seen of, or what you can find on the original Sumerian game is a more complex game than this basic version in this book. Apparently it's one of these boring, you could think of like a Koei strategy game where you're like literally looking at acres of farmland and grain stores, and every turn you like lose some of that grain depending on your population, and you lose some of that grain to like rot and rats, and like random disasters like fires and floods can happen, but also you can gain technological advancements that affect you for each subsequent turn. This game was made in 1964. And like, I'm basically describing the outline of like something like Civilization. And like, obviously not anywhere near that complex, but 1964, this is pre-video games. And we already have like these economic simulations. So cool. I think this game is so cool. And obviously you're not getting that if you buy under one computer games, but it's all you can get. You know what? I'm going to bring up, did we have an episode on video game collectibles that you can't collect?
Yes.
The Strong Museum
we talked about it.
Somewhere in New England. I forgot where they are. Where are they? Are they in New York? No, they're in New York. So the source code to Sumerian game is lost, but they have 3 printouts of gameplay sessions because these were played on are they called teletype computers, Johnny? Like the computer didn't have a screen. It just had a printer that printed out the output as you were playing the game. Because computers used to be freaking cool. This isn't even a video game. It's a typewriter game. But they have
pretty cool
3 printouts of people who played the Sumerian game, which is just so cool. Like, if you can't have the source code, if you can't actually run the game, having the actual record of someone playing the game, that is incredible. I love that.
I think it's neat. Yeah, that's cool.
All right. Johnny, I don't think we even need to go over any more books. Because that's the one. I also wrote down the book, What to Do After You Hit Return, which is a book that was written in 1975. And this is also significant. This is another book of type-in basic computer games. Kind of significant for the same reasons. I really love anything about video games before 1977, because that's when you got Atari 2600. That's when you got the Apple II, the Commodore PET, and the TRS-80. So a lot happened in 1977 that made video games a lot more popular. So kind of anything about computer games before then, I think is really interesting. So this was a book. It was written in HP BASIC because these were games meant to be typed into HP 2000 mainframes. And it also has a version of Hammurabi. This one has has Star Trader, which is a predecessor to Trade Wars, which is a predecessor to a lot of economic space simulation games. You could find this in in the timeline that leads up to something like EVE Online. Obviously a much simpler version of any of that, but it's interesting. Another thing about this book, What to Do After You Hit Return, because they are mainframe computer games and people might not have access to computers to actually run the program, it gave you instructions for how to parse the code and play the games without a computer, which is incredible. This rarer book than 101 Basic Computer Games. This is more like $50 to $200. I like this book a lot too, Johnny.
Okay. I will take your word for it.
All right. That's what I got for video game books. A bunch of stupid computer books with basic computer games in them. But I don't know. I mean, is there a more collectible video game book? I mean, there is. There's going to be more expensive books than these. But someone's going to have to sell me on a more important video game book, I think.
Maybe you've never heard of Ready Player One?
Sure. Can you say that something like The Ultimate History of Video Games is an important book? I think it's incredible how wrong it is. Like that book is like factually wrong consistently everywhere. But it also is a lot of people's introduction to the basics of video game history.
Yeah, I mean, also books can be important without being collectible as well. And just be important.
All right. All right, give me more video game. But these are the two that came to my head as books that I'm interested in stupid 70s bullshit. So if someone has like some real good, like collectible video game books, I want to hear about them. And I want to buy them. So let me know about them.
Okay, that's it. Tyler, we did it.
Oh, breezy. 3 hours and 13 minutes into the episode.
I mean, we knew what we were getting in for. And again, your fault. I just want to remind you.
Let's get into the collector's questions, Johnny. The Ask the
shall
Podcast.
We? Let's do one.
You're right. Let's do one. Tiger Wolf, the creator of this episode, asks, have you guys thought of who you consider to be the most important creators in video game history? For example, everyone talks about Miyamoto, but have you played a game of high fidelity and thought of your top 5 all-time most important video game creators list? I don't know the high fidelity references.
Me either.
Is that a movie reference?
Well, it is a movie with John Cusack, and I believe it also was a television series. But not with John Cusack.
Do I have to think of like a top 5? Is that a movie about a top 5 video game creators?
I don't know. It's definitely not. I think John Cusack runs a record store.
It says it has he's recounting his most painful breakups and trying to find a reason for his failed romances.
Okay, that sounds like a John Cusack movie.
Tiger Wolf, we're going to need you to explain this high fidelity reference.
Yeah, my favorite John Cusack movie is Grosse Point Blank. Eventually, you find out you like it. Props to you if you get that reference.
There's a Grosse Point Blank reference.
You nailed it, Tyler. But if you know specifically where it's from,
Johnny, I don't know. I don't think I deviate at all from like the most
populous.
From the populists here.
Yeah,
I think Miyamoto is going to be one.
Sid Meier, right? He's got his name on a lot of things. David Crane.
Look, I love Sid Meier. Like Civilization. Are we putting that in like the annals of video game history in like top 5?
You got David Crane on your list though, because you love David Crane.
I do love David Crane. See, like, so from a certain perspective, like third-party video games exist in a
From a certain
legitimate sense
point of
because of
view?
David Crane. And that counts for so much, along with like Pitfall and everything.
Yeah.
But
I just don't.
but then if you're counting David Crane, like I love David Crane based on just his technical and game design accomplishments. I don't know if he is top 5. I think when you add in his accomplishments as a businessman and CEO, then maybe he is top 5. But then when you get into like, when we're talking about video game businessmen, like, do we start thinking of people like Nolan Bushnell as like a top 5 video game guy just because of the businessman that he is? Because he made Chuck E. Cheese, the most iconic arcade of all time.
I mean, it's no Dave and Buster's, but all right.
Who we got? I mean, Ralph Baer, the creator of the Magnavox Odyssey, I think, like, in some sense, invented home video games.
No.
No?
No, I'm not giving it to him.
All right. You just hate the 70s.
So you just
Nolan
don't.
Bushnell?
I mean, so you're not going to put Sid up in there. What about Will Wright?
I love Sid Meier. He is not top 5 most important video game creators.
You don't think so?
Sid Meier? What? He's a pioneer of a genre that no one plays anymore, except for like a small contingent of PC gamer nerds. When was the last console Civilization? Did you play Civilization Revolution on the Xbox 360? No one on consoles plays strategy games. It's just like a genre that no one cares about. If strategy games were that good and that popular, people would make them work on consoles, but people just don't care.
Okay, what about Will Wright?
Again, like, personally, sure.
Kojima?
Gunpei Yokoi? I mean, see, I love Metal Gear Solid and Kojima's weird stuff too much. I think, like, he has a kind of a weird guy auteur air about him. So, like, Kojima might be on, like, my personal top 5. I don't know if he's the top 5 ever, but also maybe he is.
What about Richard Garriott?
Ooh. I mean, yeah, these are all the guys in the running.
What about Gabe Newell?
Gabe Newell's like number 2 if we're going from the CEO perspective. Dude, Gabe Newell led the teams that created like 2 of the most influential first-person shooters ever. Like, we're talking like the number 1 series on PC or close to it. And then he had that. He had everything. He had Counter-Strike, fucking everything in terms of PC game development. And yet he shifted his company to just get 30% of everyone else's video games. And now he's making $1 billion fucking dollars doing that instead of doing this worthless, just making stupid Half-Life games. Oh, we can sell it for $60. Oh, how about we just take $20 of every fucking game everyone else sells instead? So yeah, he is kind of a genius for making Steam in that sense.
What about Tim Schafer?
No, fuck Tim Schafer.
Whoa. What are you doing? What is wrong with you?
No, Tim Schafer's great. What's the stupid game? Did he make Stacking, or was that just a random Double Fine game?
He made like Grim Fandango and Psychonauts.
I mean, yeah, but I'm talking about the bad Double Fine games. Not that Stacking's a bad game, except that it is. If anyone doesn't remember Stacking, that was the Double Fine game where you play as the Russian nesting dolls. And it was a puzzle platformer. I don't even know if it was a platformer.
Full Throttle.
Remember not liking that game super much.
He made, like, I didn't love Full Throttle or Broken Age.
Broken Age has some really nice art. That game is also pretty overrated, Johnny.
Yeah, well, I didn't love it. Anyways,
all right. I don't know. I don't know how to square this. I don't know.
It's a hard question, but it's like, you want, like, Also, people are kings of their kingdom for like they are the hottest shit ever for these tiny windows, and then they just go away. Like where would you put like Alexei Paginov? Like how important
like you
is
can't. I mean, because like you look at his career as a total, and he had so many games that he endorsed that weren't Tetris and clearly weren't as good as Tetris. And I feel like, dude made one game, and he probably didn't even make all the ports. That he didn't like. He didn't make NES Tetris. He didn't make the PC Tetris. He didn't make Game Boy Tetris. He made like some weird Soviet version of Tetris that no one even knows exists.
Yeah. Then you get like, remember, like people would talk about Peter Molyneux for a while. Who's the guy who? Yeah. Who's the guy who made Grand Theft Auto? Like
there's a Grand Theft Auto guy.
Vice City. Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Same guy. He did like a couple of the GTAs and like Manhunt. I forget that guy's name.
I love Grand Theft Auto, and I had no idea there was a guy.
I don't even like
David Jones, Mike Daly. I don't know who these people are.
You got Ken and Roberta Williams.
Sure. All right, Johnny, put together your list. If I'm putting together a list, I mean, I'm probably putting. The
guy's name is Dan and Sam Hauser. They're brothers.
All right, I have no idea who they are, so they're not making my list.
Okay, I guess they're just responsible for some of the most popular things you like. Go ahead. What's your list?
Shigeru Miyamoto, Ralph Baer, Gunpei Yokoi, Hideo Kojima, John Carmack.
I knew you were going to put Carmack on your list, you fucking fanboy.
I'm not going to put him on my list.
Why? Why is it going on your list?
What, John Carmack? Because he's an actual genius.
Oh, if you say so.
Because he did he invent raycasting, the basically how Wolfenstein looks? Maybe he didn't. Maybe he just like applied it to video games. But yeah, John Carmack's a technical genius, and he's really smart, and I love him. Except that maybe he attends like weird right-wing conventions or something. Let's talk about John Carmack's politics, actually. That's
no. We never want to do that. How about Sakaguchi?
No, that's Japanese. That's RPG stuff. No one cares.
What?
Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest. What the hell is that?
Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPGs.
Yeah, stupid. Just Chrono Trigger, whatever.
Yeah, he can go ahead and go on my list. You fucking whack job.
I mean, whatever. I love immersive sims, but like, am I gonna put Warren Spector on there because he made Deus Ex? And Ultima Underworld? Oh man, now Warren Spector's maybe Warren Spector's my fifth pick.
And Ralph Baer's going on there. Why?
Because he invented video.
He made
games.
Simon. Because he made Simon.
What a genius!
Fox Odyssey.
Another technical genius up there with John Carmack. Yeah, you're right. He did make Simon.
Yeah, the Odyssey. Really, thank God for the Odyssey, or we all wouldn't love video games.
Yeah, the Odyssey. What Alan Alcorn just ripped off and made smash hit Pong by just ripping off Odyssey and making it simpler, which was the sensible thing to do. But
yeah, smart, but not smart enough to know why that was bad.
Yeah, no, he was definitely not a good businessman, I do not think, Ralph Baer.
And I'm putting Richard Garriott on your list? Anyways, I got David Crane on my list. I got Miyamoto first, obviously. If Miyamoto isn't first, then like I don't even know what to do in life.
I mean, yeah, it's Miyamoto.
I got Sakaguchi. I got like, do we count Gunpei Yokoi? Like,
I mean, yeah. I mean, from an engineering perspective, yeah, definitely.
Like, yeah. So I'll put him on my list. Sorry, Ralph Baer.
You're bullshit.
Sorry, John Carmack.
You're just bullshit.
Like, Did we put Will Wright on there? I think so.
No, we don't. Where's Will Wright coming from? Who would put
No.
Will Wright on the top 5 ever?
Gabe Newell, right?
See, I would definitely give more to Gabe Newell.
I'm just gonna put. I'm gonna go with Tim Schafer and then Ken Williams and Roberta Williams. There's my list.
You love Portal so much. Just put Gabe on there.
I do love Portal so
Tim
very
Schafer?
much.
You're putting Tim Schafer in the top 5 ever?
Yeah.
All right.
If you're gonna fucking put Ralph Baer there, he made the Odyssey.
He made the Odyssey.
No.
Tim
Homer
Schafer made
the
Brutal
Odyssey.
Legend.
Yeah, Brutal Legend is better than everything on the Odyssey times 100.
There's a haunted house game on the Odyssey.
Yeah.
Not that Brutal
you
Legend's
mean-
bad, but
You mean there's an overlay of a haunted house? It's so lame that I won't even buy one to include in the Halloween gaming section.
there are people who make good games. Like Tim Schafer obviously made good games. That doesn't mean he has to be a top 5 game designer ever. What are the criteria? Is it the most important? Top 5 all-time most important video game creators. Like, I'm sorry, I love some Tim Schafer games. Like, I love Monkey Island, I love Grim Fandango, but like, no, there's not the top 5 most important video game designers.
But you wouldn't put the guy who made Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger in there. That wasn't important enough for you because that's RPG bullshit.
Yeah,
the criteria is dog
that's
shit.
Just RPG bullshit. I'd put Gunpei Yokoi on there first.
It's inconsistent and stupid. I'm not here for it.
God, Tiger Wolf, you're turning this into like stupid After Darks. We're just like rambling.
We are. It's gone. This episode has gone too long. We're tired. We gotta just lock it in. And it's fine that we disagree. Great.
All right. And John Carmack's on there though, right?
Not mine.
Have you played Quake?
That's just dumb first-person shooter shit.
You know, there's only one first-person shooter that's better than Quake, and it's Cruelty Squad.
You know, first-person shooters are just like pretty mid, right?
Are they the most popular genre?
Oh, does that have to do with it? Because at one point, RPGs were the most popular. What does that?
Were they? Because in the 90s, it was really all about platformers.
No, in the 90s, it like really became about RPGs.
I think you're remembering your personal childhood and not the world.
I think I'm remembering the just dearth of RPGs that existed in the world at that time.
How many Crash Bandicoot games are on PlayStation compared to Final Fantasy?
I'm remembering that Nintendo's inability to come to terms with Square and get Final Fantasy VII on the Nintendo 64 single-handedly gave Sony the win for that generation.
So, Johnny, there was a Nintendo console that came out. It had like one RPG on the entire console, maybe 2, and you're going to tell me this was the age of RPGs. That was the most important genre, and there was an entire Nintendo console that had none of them.
Yeah, because they chose a bad platform and decided to
Well, they worked
with
fine on the
cartridges.
Super Nintendo. If people wanted them that much, they could have made some 2D RPGs.
You and your dumb arguments, you can't even believe your own logical fallacies, especially when you're going to gloss over that the PlayStation exists. The PlayStation also exists. You're talking about a platform with like, what? Fucking 200, 300, whatever it is, games on it.
All right, we're going to the best. We're just looking at best-selling games. Let's go. Best-selling games 1995. What do we got? Come on, Wikipedia, don't fail me now.
1995. Didn't the N64 come out in 96?
Dragon Quest fucking 6 selling 2.4 million copies on the Super Famicom does not fucking count, but Chrono Trigger selling 2 million copies does count. Wow, is that really the best-selling game of... this is also Japan.
Oh, Japan doesn't count for you. That's weird. It counts for so much every other time.
Holy shit. So...
Are you learning something today?
The best-selling... besides those, we got Yoshi's Island, Mortal Kombat 3, and then Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2. Japan... single-handedly beat the entire world with just Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest VI. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
No, that's 1 year. What? I'm not done. What are we talking about? We're going to 1996.
Done.
Now we're in the welcome. This isn't really what After Dark is, but this is the stupidest shit I'm gonna do. All right. Oh no! In the 1996, Pokemon came out, and that's an RPG. Oh man, what do we got? Okay, it doesn't matter. Super Mario 64 destroyed it anyway because it wasn't out in America yet. Followed by Tekken 2. That's another fighting game up there with Mortal Kombat. Was fighting games more popular than RPGs? Maybe. Resident Evil, then Super Mario RPG, then Donkey Kong Country 3. Damn, Donkey Kong Country 3 with the 1.7 million sales. All right. I'm going to call that year a win for platformers. And then the next year was maybe Pokemon of Final Fantasy 7. We're going to skip that year. Let's go to 1998. Oh my goodness, 1998 was a good year for video games. Oh no, it was also Pokemon that year because that's when it came out in America. Oh, that is so cheap. Pokemon, you can't get 2 years. You can't get 1996 and 1998. This is bullshit. All right, maybe I'm changing my opinion. Maybe I'll give you some that maybe it was the years of maybe it was 90s were RPGs. Maybe people like the RPGs.
Yeah. All right.
If you look, like every year, the best-selling game is just Pokemon. When Pokemon Gold and Silver came out, the best-selling game of that year, Johnny, was Pokemon Red, Green, Blue, and Yellow. That is crazy.
That is crazy.
All right.
You want to know what else is crazy? If you look at the sales of N64 games compared to just Game Boy games.
Game Boy was selling that much better than 64?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. And then if you look at like whatever Nintendo 64 was doing, the game, except in America, the Game Boy was basically doubling it. And then just the PlayStation was just doubling those.
All right. So top 5 is Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokemon, and definitely not Hironobu Sakaguchi, the creator of Final Fantasy, because Pokemon actually matters and Nintendo doesn't. Also, absolutely not, because every fucking Pokemon game after like the first 2 generations is just garbage. All right, I'll give you Game Boy Advance guy. I know Heart Gold and Soul Silver amazing. Pokemon is just garbage, as evidenced by Pal World. Let's move on to the next question, Johnny, which is, what are you buying? What are you playing?
What am I buying and what am I playing? Boy, I could not wait to talk to you about this one. Hey, Tyler, do you want to know one of the things I bought?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you.
No. I want to know if you want to know in your soul. Like, not just because you have to ask me because it's on the podcast, but you really deeply yearn to understand my buying habits.
Is it like a horror movie Christmas ornament? What are you about to tell me, Johnny?
I bought a shirt, Tyler.
Oh, no.
I bought an Evil Dead shirt.
Great.
Because as I mentioned, that Evil Dead, the collector's edition that came out, came with the shirt, and most people sold it without the shirt. But I found someone just selling a shirt by themselves, and I was able to buy it so I could piece together the box, so it's now complete.
Okay, at least it's not a shirt for you to collect as a shirt. That's fine.
No. And then I also, well, this is not here yet, so I'm not going to talk about that. I got, this is a good one. Hey, do you like small box PC games?
Johnny, I love small box PC games because no one collects them. I think it is like prime territory to find the cool stuff.
Well, let me tell you about a vampire story. That's it. That's it.
Okay, so it's just a random horror game that you bought.
No, it's like an animated. It's like a kid's one. This box is so ugly. So there's one of those awful like DVD case versions, and then there is a small box version. But then if you go, there's like a really nice big box version, but it's only the Japanese edition. And the art looks so much better. Everything looks so much better. I want you just to go look at A Vampire Story, spelled Vampyre, and sort by highest, and put PC in there in the search. So you can see how much better the big box looks.
Is this a Japanese game? Why didn't you just get the Japanese version?
It's not a Japanese game. It's an American game. So, but yeah, if you go look, like, they just changed the coloring slightly. Everything just looks so much better. Like, this is why people don't collect small boxes, because look how nice this big box is. It's so much better. And obviously, it's some Polish dude selling it for an absurd amount of money, because these Polish guys are always hoarding these PC games.
Yeah, there's a lot of big box PC games in Poland, and or at least there's a lot of like unique Polish versions for whatever reason.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, like, right, you see how much better the box looks, right? And it's the same art. It's just something changed ever so slightly and just elevated it.
I literally can't find it. I looked for it auto-corrected my spelling of vampire. God damn it, eBay, why would you do that? I wasn't like mistaking it. Johnny, it's just the big box.
It looks like...
they changed the colors a lot. It's a lot more purple. They were probably the Americans don't like purple. Why don't we just make that black instead? Otherwise, we're going to think this is a game for girls.
Yep. Right? Doesn't the Japanese one look so much better?
Yeah, it looks way better. But I mean, whatever.
So I'm telling you.
Do you even know what this game is? What is this game?
Yeah.
Don't buy a $400 big box or a $200 big box.
I did not buy.
I know. So just get the small box and be happy.
I did buy the small box.
Version.
I'm telling you what I bought. So yes, obviously I bought one, and I bought a small box for like $8. No big deal. You good? You feel better now?
Yeah. Good job.
And then I can't remember. Did I mention it last week? I can't remember if I said last week that I bought Goosebumps. I bought a Goosebumps game.
Which Goosebumps game?
Oh, which one, Tyler? Attack of the Mutants big box PC game.
Whoa! Are there any Goosebumps games you don't have yet?
Yes, there is one, well, version or actual game, because of the games, I have all the games. But there's a PC version of just the Goosebumps that came out on like the PlayStation that comes in like a DVD box that's like $6 that I'll pick up eventually. But yeah, I think I have them all now. Actually, that's not true, because there's like there's some like really dumb, not serial games, but like DVD slipcase only, or CDs in a like paper slipcase that I don't have.
Well, you gotta get those. What are you talking about? Those count?
I know they're just like $2. I just got to go pick them up.
All right.
So that's what I bought. And then you guys can look forward to how the hell I'm going to work these into Halloween episodes.
Oh, man.
I know you're already looking forward to it. I'm excited too. I have an episode idea for this Halloween that I think you're going to like this time. I think you're going to be for it. Do you want me to sell you on it now?
Sure. Sell me on it now. Let's do it.
Okay. Horror firsts. That's
all right. I'm in.
Yeah. So like, what was the first Dracula? Like, what was the first vampire game?
Oh, hey, all right. I actually like that.
Right. Yeah. There you go. I knew you'd like that one. When I'm like, oh, we do this with all this other shit. We should do this with horror. And then, like we talked about what the first survival horror is once. And it's like, oh, let's just apply that out. And then we can talk about that. I figured you'd be into it.
All right.
Yeah.
Get me interested in our own podcast. I love it.
Yeah. There you go. Got to do a little salesmanship. And what did I play, Tyler?
Diablo 4.
No.
Oh.
Yes, I played Diablo 4.
Okay.
And what
Johnny,
about you?
Let me tell you about video games from the 1970s. I got Percepts for the Magnavox Odyssey. Yeah.
Hold on. I have to imagine our average listener is like, wait, you bought A Vampire Story and this guy bought Percept. What the fuck is happening? Can someone just say a Nintendo game, please?
People are out there like, yeah, I got Ninja Gaiden 2 for the NES. This game rules. And we're talking about like the absolute bullshit that we're buying.
Yeah.
I have not been excited to collect normal stuff.
Me
If it's
either.
not like something directly on my want list, I've not been spending stupid money on games, and my bank account is like, whoa, look at all this money in my bank account when I just stop buying stupid shit that I don't need, just to like fill shelf space. Like there are so many like PlayStation 2 games or like even like PlayStation 1 games that I know are like good games, collectible games, interesting games that I could just go and buy forever. But I've really cut back on that stuff, and it just feels great, Johnny. But you know what something you need is Perceps for the Magnavox Odyssey.
Get it.
Literally, I don't know what this game is. It comes with the overlays, and it comes with a couple decks of cards, and it uses one of the cartridges that that already came with the Magnavox Odyssey. So the Odyssey comes with 6 game cards, and this was a free game you got. If you mailed in a survey card to convince you to actually mail it in, they sent you this free game, which just came with like instructions, the overlay, and the cards. So it is kind of like the seventh. I don't know how. No, the Odyssey came with a bunch of games. Anyway, this is just like, it's a bonus game for the Magnavox Odyssey. I love it, Johnny.
Okay.
It was like $30, and I was the only bidder. I think like no one bid on this. I don't understand. Odyssey is just dead because everyone who cares about it is dead, apparently.
I understand now why you keep bringing up the Odyssey in this episode, because you really needed to justify this purchase.
No, this was great. $30. I was so excited. I think I bid like 70.
Man, I have been losing. I'm losing auctions on Zen Market right now. I don't know what's happening. Like I can't win anything. Like whatever my choices have been, I just keep getting outbid, and there was no one ever bidding against me, and then suddenly I just I can't buy a win right now. Literally can't buy a win.
I don't know. I've been bidding on less stuff, but I guess I bid aggressively on the stuff I want, so I haven't been losing. I've been doing better, I think, than I've been doing like say 2 years ago.
That's been very upsetting for me. I'm not used to it.
Johnny, I got from 1978 Escape for the Apple II.
Hey!
Yeah! I have been looking for this game for so long, and it came up Buy It Now for $100, which I feel is a very fair price for what definitely is a rare-ish Apple II game. This is a first-person 3D maze game that was programmed by Silas Warner, who is the guy who made Castle Wolfenstein, and it is the game that directly inspired the first-person perspective of Akalabeth, which is the predecessor to the Ultima series. So just a very interesting game. It's about like escaping a prison, and you like talk to guards and stuff. Who cares? It's more about the perspective and that it inspired Richard Garriott in terms of Akalabeth. Super cool. It looks like it's like a black and white cassette case. It looks like just the most bootleg, stupid, you should throw this out nonsense made in the garage. I love it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then whatever. I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3. It never ends.
We're very exciting.
Yeah, I know.
Man, Tyler, have you heard of the website List All?
List All. No. Should I?
I don't know, but like it's like literally a site where people just list things, and you can like acquire lists of things. And I've been using looking through that, and like through Moby Games. Have you used Moby Games, their themes?
I can't find List All. How do you spell that?
Listal.
One L?
One L.
Oh,
well, two
okay.
L's.
Never mind. I got it.
Yeah.
So what about Moby Games?
I've been using Moby Games as well. Their themes. Do you ever search by themes?
I've tried searching by theme, and I usually end up going through like much more broad lists because I think their themes miss a lot of stuff.
I think their themes do miss a lot of stuff, but it's been looking. I used to just like be like, no, this is too many holes, but it's starting to look better. Is all I'm saying.
All right.
Like for what I was looking at, I was like, oh, okay. I don't know why it looks better now.
I mean, it shouldn't, because people shouldn't be contributing to Moby Games because they're monetizing your contributions now. So you're literally doing free work for a corporation, which is ridiculous. Like, if you try to click some of their cover arts, they're like, subscribe to Movie Games Pro to look at this cover art. And it's like, fuck off.
Go fuck you.
Yeah, don't contribute to Moby Games. Also, maybe contribute to Moby Games because it's the best resource we have, even if it is turning into a pile of garbage.
But yeah, anyways, I've been going through these themes and like copying them into lists and creating. Tyler, I've made so many stupid lists for horror games. I've been down the rabbit holes, Tyler.
Cool.
It's been dark down those rabbit holes, Tyler. I know a lot about PS1 horror on like the Japanese PS1.
Are we going to have an episode where we talk about like Mazurna Falls? People love that game.
Hey, that's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Realms of Twilight. Let's go. Let me tell you though, there's a lot of games there. Yeah, just so many games, Tyler. There's so many, like going through haunted house games. I found out there's supposedly a Night of the Living Dead TRS-80 game, but I can't find it. Like I see like screenshots of it, but I don't know if it was just like, it's a text adventure game. So I don't know if it was just like, I don't know how it was distributed is what I'm getting at. I don't know if it was just like a program you could like run, but there's no disc. I don't know what this was going on here. You'd think there would have to be a disc, but I can't find any version of it. It's been very upsetting. So if anyone knows about that, you let me know. But yeah,
I've figured out and then publish all your data somewhere that no one's going to see it because we don't have websites anymore and everything has to be on a social media platform. So wherever you put that, no one's going to see it or be able to search for it.
Yeah. I have one last thing to tell you before we go, just because I know how much you like this series. Hey, did you know there's a version of The Ring that's unique to the Wonder Swan?
What? Say that one more time.
There's a version of The Ring.
Like Ringu? Like
yes,
The Ring?
Ringu. Yeah. Yeah, Ringu.
What?
On the Japanese Wonder Swan. I mean, I guess the Wonder Swan is really only Japanese, but...
Ring Infinity? It's a visual novel?
Yeah.
Tell me you have this.
It's on its way.
Okay, excellent.
And I can't wait to... You thought the shit we talked about last October was dumb? Wait until I talk about sound novels. Instead of visual novels, they're sometimes sound visual novels.
Oh, we talked about sound novels on the Super Famicom, I think.
Oh, there's so many of them, Tyler. There's so many of them. And they're remade, and there's... Yeah. You can't wait. You can't wait to talk to me about this in October.
All right, Johnny, I'm looking at the Ringu visual novel for Wonder Swan. First of all, it is less than 90 minutes long.
Yep.
And
that's not a known criticism of it.
Okay. I am paging through it and I see basically one picture of Samara right at the end. It looks like there's basically one kind of jump scare and that's it.
Yep.
It seems a little bit lame.
But did you see what came in the box?
No, I'm looking at the gameplay.
I know. Oh, well, gotta look at that box. Can't wait to tell you about all these games, Tyler. Right. Can't wait. Right. You want to hear about the Night of Sacrifice? You can't wait to hear about another Wii horror game? Are we going to be talking about Wii games oh man, I'm spoiling too much. I hope you all forget by October.
Okay.
Night of Sacrifice. Are you
all
telling
right,
me?
Johnny, let's end this. Let's end this. This we're talking about nothing right now, and it's going on 4 hours.
Okay. Well,
shout out to our trucker listeners who are like, yes, 4-hour episode.
Yeah. Shout out to all you Joes out there. That's it for this episode. If you survive this long about shit, you'd probably you're like, these guys didn't even fucking talk about video games this episode. And then what did they buy? They bought ridiculous nonsense. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys.
You,
this is the episode.
Ridiculous
sometimes.
nonsense. Probably the first mail-away video game ever. Huh? That's something? I didn't even mention that aspect of it because I just thought of it right now. Huh?
Yeah,
That's something.
That is something, and I'm for it. I'm glad you bought that.
All right.
100%
Good.
glad you bought it. But I will tell you that we did talk about a lot of nonsense. And
yes.
none of those...
I mean, this was specifically an episode not about video games, so...
Yeah, it's true. We do those sometimes. Anyways, that's it for the show. Tyler, they can find you on the Discord. They can find me on the Discord. You can find Tyler, I guess, on Video Game Sage sometimes. And you can find me also on Instagram and TikTok, because why not? Hey, that's it for the show. Thanks again. We appreciate you all. Good night. Goodbye. Bye.